Here we go. All right. It is live on Twitch now.
All right.
I had to launch whenever I stream, I have to launch 2 different programs. I have to launch my VTuber and then I have to launch my OBS.
Gotta get that OBS.
Shh. Wait. Shh. Let me get your lips.
Shh. All right, hold up. Everyone, like, scream into your microphones real quick. I just want to make sure we're coming through on Twitch.
Did we do?
What do we do?
Actually, just say something, please.
I'm gonna say
Pause,
something.
what?
Say some.
Sorry.
What?
Yeah, we're good. We're
Say
good.
something.
We got it. We
Okay,
got it.
okay.
Nelly, this includes you.
What?
No, we're good.
What?
There.
Hi.
I was just making sure in-game chat was coming through on stream because sometimes it doesn't always like to, but we're sitting pretty.
True.
Can't see anyone's usernames.
You gotta get like really up close
You gotta
for
look.
some reason.
You gotta look right at them.
Looks like they disappear really
down.
quickly too.
I was looking up.
Okay, so
Okay, that's one's.
moons right now are experimentation, offense, and
Wait.
march. We're all clear. Assurance is rainy, and vow is eclipsed.
Uh-oh.
Just send us wherever.
You don't remember like March?
Wait, did I say? Fuck, hold on. Oh wait, shoot. Can I swear?
Go for it. Oh yeah, I don't give a shit.
I forgot. I forgot.
Right, mine is a not
okay,
a
March.
kid-friendly stream, please.
Valid. Okay, yeah, March is clear.
Your online
do that.
persona isn't family friendly.
No, do you guys know what my side gig is? Because it's definitely not.
That's crazy.
Wait, repeat it for the class.
Would you like
No,
the?
that's what I'm
What?
referencing.
Can I have a reference?
Hey, yo, calm down.
Hold on, I don't know if Hillary actually knows what it is.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, so it probably
That's
wouldn't
what I
take
said.
much to figure
You're
it out
probably
there.
Guessing correctly.
I'm clueless. I'm gonna load the game.
Go for it. Let's do it.
Let's go.
We'll live.
Let's go. Yeah, like depending on how much I end up streaming Lethal Company, it depends on how I'm gonna have to get a costume made for my VTuber.
Bash that, children.
But for the time being, it's just a maid outfit, so I think that works pretty good.
Oh hey, don't
Yeah.
forget there's a
Oh, yeah, there's like a bunch of shit incoming.
The walkies on the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
I'm
8
gonna-
items.
Yep. I didn't grab.
Where does that one land?
Flashlight
Over here.
to be going back to
I think over
camp,
here.
so I'm gonna go.
Don't go
Should I
down that. Let's just
just
stand
go?
around till we hear the sound.
Should I just start looking?
Wait, no.
Did anyone say they wanted to do walkie
Lamp
this time?
knows I would be louder. And
Yeah, I'll grab the extra walkie.
Swearing
Okay.
if
Oh,
I
well.
was at my apartment and that
I ordered
Not
4
trying-
Pro
trying
Oh, there it is.
flashlights and
Yeah,
4
that's-
walkies just so we had extras.
our neighbors.
All right,
Walkie's nice.
Lamp, I got my walkie. No, I'm not gonna get a stop sign and smack someone with it. Manticoil, get out of here. Sad taste. No, I'm not gonna hurt anybody just for no reason right now. Also, we have shovels. It's a way more efficient weapon. Mac, I'm coming on through. Copy that. I hear you coming through loud and clear.
That side's dead.
Okay.
That side's there's nothing open.
Alright, I said you're coming through loud and clear there, feller.
Hey, this is empty as hell.
Copy that. Alright, look, guys, it says a scrap over here, so.
Contact, I nearly just walked over the Which one of you motherfuckers turned out the lights? Lamp, am I going Guys. Who turned out the lights?
I don't know. Wasn't me. Steam.
Oop. Yoink.
There's a turret
Heard that turret for a second. Who almost just got deleted? Did you just get deleted by the turret?
Yeah, me. I was running forward into a steam field, trying to turn it off.
All I heard was. Right.
Here, I'll follow you around for a minute.
Yeah, so I got a key, so. Damn, this place is huge.
Yeah, that direction you're going to the right is a
I
scrap.
found
Yep.
a fire exit.
You want to take these to the fire exit? Do you know where it's at?
Oh no, it was way back. Like,
Oh,
maybe you'd
okay.
be better off at the entrance.
I don't know where the entrance is.
Literally have to go to the entrance to.
Now watch out, where Layla is. There's
Here, I'll be a pack mule.
Yep, looks
Lay-
like you realize.
Where are you?
Oh, so you're good.
And you keep going, turn left. And then another one is gonna be a piece of scrap.
Oh, it's another big item. You got 2 big items, so I can't really take it right now.
Matt.
What?
Oh shit. What was that?
Turret.
Where is the turret?
I don't know. Oh, that's steam. That's not right.
Which way did we not go?
What is that sound?
You need a flashlight?
No, I have one. I'm just.
Oh, is that the
saving it.
turret?
Wait. Oh, I hear you.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Was there anything else over there?
Not really.
Not straight.
Kind of exhausted those areas. There was one, this bracken room, you might call it, but it didn't have anything. Just heard it power down.
Alright. I don't know what we all have left. Command, do you see anything else near us?
I just need to find my way back to the exit.
I think it's this way.
Nope, not in terms of scrap or bogeys.
Whoop. Occurred to me that I have not been checking for snare fleas properly.
That's the turret right there. Be careful. This way.
I have no sprint.
You're fine. You're carrying a big thing. I get it.
Okay. Yeah.
Alright, I don't know. I think we might have exhausted this place. There's probably a couple of small things hidden there
Well-
beyond the turret.
I think there's, hold on. Drop this and this. And then have we gone this
Operator, I think I heard a vent open.
Oh, okay.
I think I heard a I heard a hinge swing.
Has
That
anyone gone
usually
this way yet?
You didn't catch that?
Yeah, there's
This
nothing
is
up
just
here.
empty.
There was a vent that opened.
Okay.
Be on the lookout.
I think I heard one, so let us know if you see anything.
I'm ready to be ballsy. I'm ready to take the death moves.
Wait, brackets don't attack you unless you look at them, right? Like you have to.
You have to like, acknowledge it. Yeah.
Second?
Okay.
Nothing. Wait,
So
no.
if I never look behind me.
Yeah. So you have to like double check to make sure. It's like oh you're here kind of thing, but don't like stare at him. You also don't want to not look
Yeah.
at him.
Yeah.
Looks like it right in front of
Okay,
you.
so
Watch
this
out,
is
watch
back
out.
where-
Back, whoever's in the front.
It's near us. It's near us.
Layla's in a very
What's
precarious
there?
situation right now. He needs to run back.
Layla,
Run,
get it.
run,
Cool.
run,
Get out, get out, get
go,
out, get out, get out.
go. There was
You know what it
there was a
was?
thing. It was a bracken, I think.
It appears to be 6:11 p.m. and I'm gonna recommend that you guys head back. Looks like we've got a good haul. Take
Yeah,
it
I'm
back to
saying
ship
head
safely.
back.
Over.
I'm just saying.
You guys have everything from the door?
Yeah.
Yes.
That wasn't bad. Worse runs.
Yeah. Especially for our first, well, okay, my first one of the day.
Better than the time I played with Malcolm.
Good work.
I saw my for the first time.
Okay, to be fair, that happens even if you know it's there sometimes.
Not my proudest moment.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
Good work.
We are, we,
Everything in there was like
this
dying.
this right
You
here
guys
is
got
not for
everything?
quota, by the way.
Yeah, we hit quota. We are hitting quota so quickly. This is a good one.
This is the run
I'm
where we
not
get
gonna say
pajama
that's
suits.
Jason.
This is the run where we get pajama
This
suits.
is the pajama. Yes.
What it is.
Please.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
That's all we need.
See, okay, main goal, pajama suits. Bonus goal, getting...
Oh, it's weird seeing a
Oh, hey,
big ass
what's that?
thing.
Most paranoid? How do they calculate most paranoid?
I think it's based on like how you talk and the way you talk, like your inflection of it. I don't know for sure though. That's my best guess.
I
Well,
love
I
like how
guess
many
I'm
times you
a
look
paranoid
behind you.
talker.
Like,
First, like,
See,
crouching, maybe?
Oh, shit. Okay, Vow is pretty
Maybe?
much the only one without anything.
Alright,
do it.
let's make it there.
make sure you're charged, everyone.
Uh,
Are you
I'll do it.
charged up?
Natalie, you going walkie again?
Yeah, I can go walk. I mean, if you do you want to do cams? Do you want to go in?
I'm down for cams.
Cool. I can go in then.
Alright.
Oh, as I was saying,
Alright.
main goal, pajama suit, bonus
To blow
goal,
up.
getting...
I was
like,
just gonna say
one
to
of
blow up.
each suit.
Act like I don't know
Like, I
nobody.
don't know nobody.
My
Sorry.
mango.
My mango.
Put that way too much.
Tasty fruit.
Hello, I see you.
Yes,
All right,
my mango.
I'll turn it on as soon as I get to
Ooh, I
the
love
entrance.
Comes with egg rolls.
Here's the main entrance on this. Is this? Oh no, is this where we just were? Or is it a different one?
I'm following you guys. I don't care.
I don't know.
Is it this way?
I don't know. I've never been here.
Think so. I think it was straight.
We are very lost.
Yeah. Guys, we did well.
Oh wait.
That's bees. Don't touch it.
The bees.
Wait, it's over there. I think.
Where?
I walked on a
That way.
beehive last round. An accident.
Oh, there we go. Yep. Oh yeah, because okay, I have been here. It's one of the bridge. Okay, I'm gonna go across first. You guys stay off.
Okay.
You wanna go next? When you...
All right, walk you on.
Alright, good work with the remaining man.
Guys, we made the best discovery of the game.
What'd you do?
We got a laser pointer.
Oh god. Imagine if you like blind the bracket or something. Like, hey, idiot.
No, I'm just gonna think. I'm just gonna trick someone into thinking that's a turn. Hold on, I'm good at finding the mouse. Sometimes.
Got it. Hey, there's nothing in here.
Nothing.
Wow, okay.
Amazing.
Wow, what a great room.
This is a good
There's stuff down here.
too.
Okay, cool.
Well, I mean, ways down here.
Yeah, is there any other? The other side's gone. Oh, here we go.
I don't want to go that way. I was gonna stay first.
I'm going straight.
Oh, there's a spider, 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 there's a spider.
Fuck no, fuck no. I didn't even hesitate to start spawning shit.
Oh, we're missing one. There we go.
Hey, let's go this
Can we
way.
just go back?
Then we go to the fire exit.
The fire exit's the fire exit's right by the main entrance.
Yep, it's right down here.
Hello.
No, this might be a different one.
Oh, would we? Okay. No, this is where the spider is.
Oh yeah.
Spider's
no,
over
it's this
there.
thing.
Tits.
Well,
Hey, what
I
happens
think
if I
if you
use my-
stand on the railings, it works. I think probably.
I think they patched that. Okay, let me just blind it in all 8 eyes.
enemy is right there.
It's here.
On the left is right down the staircase. We can't proceed. Yeah, see.
For the company. Never mind. This is the wrong side. Never mind.
Yeah, there isn't really
Hey guys, he's not coming up the stairs. Kind
No.
of went down.
No, he didn't go. No, he went into that room right there.
much.
Can I close the
No, he kind of slipped down.
Well, it looks like
Can
it's
I
coming up the stairs.
Oh, it's coming.
It's coming upstairs.
We only have
Wait,
one.
if only we had brought a shovel.
I said we only have one shovel, don't we?
Yeah, we have a shovel. It takes 3 hits. Someone get the shovel.
I got it.
Oh,
For the company. For the company.
I'm gonna go get a shovel.
I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna go get it. For the company.
Did we lose someone? Layla?
Where's Layla?
No. Uh-oh. I'm coming back to the ship.
Alright, so
Hey, Lamp, can we get a checkup on Layla, please?
Layla is okay.
Okay, good.
yep, Layla is okay. All 5 team members still alive and well.
Turning off radio for the time being.
Alright.
I'll for the company. Oh, dude, quick charge on this. Might as well.
Alright.
Just try.
All right, I'm heading back right now with the shovel.
I'm not sure if Hillary heard that. She has turned off her radio for the time being to preserve power, so...
Oh, I've lost my way again. I have lost my way again because I always forget how to get there. Found it. For the company.
Not like we're standing outside
Source and
doing
deathmatch aren't really anything. I just would play Half-Life 2 and call it.
For the company. If I die, remember
Half-Life
me.
is like really old.
How will we know
Half-Life 2,
it's
got you.
a
episode
We got
1,
you.
2.
I just don't know. Someone just watch from behind or something. I don't know.
Alright, it's still there.
He shows off stuff.
Okay.
For the company.
It's working. It's shaking.
It's throwing it back.
Warning spider.
It's back.
I got it! I got it! Fuck you, spider! Yeah! We're good.
Is it gone?
It's fucking dead.
Yeah, we did
Good.
it.
Let's there be another one. There's gonna be another one. Money on it.
Looks like bogeys in there.
Spider is dead. Just want to let you know.
There's nothing though. There's nothing up here. There's nothing over here.
Alright. Are you guys able to take care of that?
Oh yeah, there's something on the fucking ceiling there.
Yeah. Right there.
I don't know if I can reach that.
Oh, I see it. I see it. I'm not gonna touch that.
Is it alive still?
Yep, help! Ah, I'm dead.
Hit them.
Oh shit.
I heard muffled. Oh my god. It's on the ceiling again by the door.
Well, this
Oh my
trip
god.
family,
It's by
Where
the
is it?
door.
Where
It's
is
by the
it?
door. It's by the door. Do you want
How
me
do
to
I
do
kill
it?
it
You
with a
hit my head?
shovel? Yeah, here's a shovel. Here's a shovel. Here's a shovel.
It's through that door, I think. It's right there or through the door. I saw it go
Okay.
back up.
Do you want me to go in and then you?
Yes, you go. You go. You go. Come here. Stop running. Oh, okay. Now get the body. Let's just get the body. Oh, how many people did we lose?
Wait, look, no, this is the other person. Yeah.
We need to get the body. We need to get the body now.
Got
Wait,
it.
no, there's a teleporter. We can teleport. The
No,
okay,
I
we
got
can
it, I got it.
teleport? Okay.
Got the body.
Here, where's?
Please teleport the body.
I got the body.
We can just teleport it. We can just teleport it.
Okay, I'll drop it again then.
Here.
What time is it?
It is 6:27. You guys should be coming back right now. Whatever you're doing.
6:27?
Yep. We've done enough for today. It's time to head back.
Yeah.
Alright, 'cause, 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 'cause
He's not gonna teleport the body?
Am I good to teleport the body? Oh, never mind. Still do it. Oh.
Just teleport the body. But that's just me. They can't hear me and I'm not gonna metagame.
You guys go across the other. Okay.
Oh! How'd you die?
Well, that was. I got stuck by.
I think we lost Jelly.
The bees were spawn camping
Yeah,
the
I
end of the
just watched
bridge.
him like jerk around dying to the bees.
Please teleport both Nat and Jelly.
On it.
That was a dumb move for me.
Yeah, it's alright. There's one.
Hello there.
Fucking leechman. I definitely should have connected with that. It happens. It happens.
Oh shit, whose body's that?
Fine.
They can't. It's they can't hear you.
How did Jelly die?
Bees. The bee incident.
Oh. Oh, that's.
To be fair, I was already almost.
You know what
dead
though? I got my
To-
bullets, I don't care.
To
And the
be
laser
fair.
pointer. Wait, okay, I don't mean that I don't care about your death.
Bro, I can't have
I
the
would like to
pickles go
specify
with the
that.
I did not think I was
Why
gonna
are
make
they
it.
like? Why are they like?
Let's get the hell out of here.
Did we get like no scrap out of that? I think we just got a lot of death and like no scrap.
Yeah, we just got picked.
No, no.
Plastic fish.
I just saw
Last round,
Jelly
but-
just get swarmed. I told Jelly we could just teleport the body and we could go the other way.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying, and I see you guys go the other way. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go this way. I was having a very introspective
Jelly's
conversation with
most
myself
paranoid, yeah.
about like whether or not I could use
I'm
my
always
laser pointer to
paranoid.
blind
Apparently,
the
yeah.
giant. If I can't, but then I figured, you know what? It's got like 6
I
hours.
just am
Nice.
paranoid, I guess.
Jelly, do have to
Jelly,
say
we
that
could
the
have
death
just
was
teleported.
your fault.
Yes.
Oh,
Let's be real.
I tried.
Entirely preventable.
It's
okay.
Try
heroic,
something
I
that
guess. It was
not-
heroic. Sure.
To be fair, both of our deaths were entirely preventable. Because we didn't have to go under the thing either.
Wait, so you
Ooh,
guys
there's a
saw
radio, there's a
that?
radio
You
somewhere.
saw the little like ceiling.
The face hugger
I was
guy,
trying
yeah,
to kill it.
we saw
Trying
it
to
and
kill
it.
looked at it.
I was bloodthirsty.
Oh,
Okay,
Like,
okay,
I
the
I was like, guys, there's a thing
Oh,
on the
man.
ceiling and that came
Yeah.
forward. It was like, oh, that's
How-
crazy, I
how?
tried to kill it.
How was it
And
that
then-
we
Go to company. Should we
all
just
were
sell?
in there with that spider and none of us standing?
Oh my god. Whoops.
Too busy on murdering it, to be fair.
True.
They're running in.
No.
I was sitting there staring at it with a laser pointer. Okay, I'm gonna land.
Can we burn this?
We have enough time to meet. We can go to. Alrighty. Okay, ready, team? Does everyone have radios or like?
I got my radio.
Some people have radios.
Flashlight.
Got a
I
flashlight.
got my radio.
That's all I need.
All right, you guys
Alrighty.
good for walkie again?
Yep.
Flashlight,
Yep, I got
same thing.
walkie.
All right, sounds good.
Whee! Damn it.
8:02 a.m.
I ran out of sprint right as I
Yay.
jump.
We may die tonight, but we will die.
We
for
may
the
die
company.
tonight, but we may live.
All right, we're going in.
Alright, sounds good.
Steam already?
Team.
8:30 a.m.
That's not even on this floor, damn it.
Spider, spider, spider,
Spider webs, spider webs, spider webs, spider webs.
spider webs,
Back rooms.
spider
Did
webs.
anyone
Where
bring a
is it?
shovel?
No, I didn't.
No. Someone go get a shovel, please. I'll go find it.
Hillary, take note. It looks like
The only way forward is.
I see it. Look, it's up there. It's up there.
It appears to be a face hugger waiting. Is it
Hold,
pressed
hold,
down
hold,
from
hold,
the stand?
hold. Don't move, don't move. There could be a face hugger.
I'm looking.
I'll just look
at
at
the, there's a spider where I'm looking, right?
Okay, you're good to keep exploring. Sorry, I was making sure you didn't run into a facehugger. I thought there was one. I'll watch it in case it moves.
Seriously, one else needs to start bringing the shovel.
Did no one go back to get the shovel?
Oh yeah, no one.
I'm the last person you want getting this stuff. I don't die with
I can. If someone wants to take my keys. Here.
Okay, by the way, there is somewhere near the fire exit. There is scrap. I don't know where that is though, and it's not that
I
direction.
can go.
Though.
I'll go to the fire exit. Here, someone take the key again.
We do have a key, so if someone might do that, or someone's gonna go get that shovel as well.
Alright, I'm seeing Layla is coming to get the shovel. So let me
You
know.
want me to go to the fire exit?
You wanna?
Sure. I'm watching. I'm telling
Just back rooms, that's right. This is nothing, right? Yeah.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
I can't really see him because I have arachnophobia mode on because I can't fucking stand spiders. Oh, I see him now.
Turn the mode. I see his legs pointed out.
I can't not have arachnophobia mode on.
Quick little time update. It is a bit past 11:30 a.m. Just a time update.
11.
Notice
Can I give the spider a seizure?
You can try. I won't stop you. I feel like we should be able to use the laser pointer to the blind it briefly. Wouldn't that be nice?
I think that would make sense for the giants since they're fully vision based.
Mm-hmm.
What did you say, Malcolm?
Jelly found a really good room next to the fire exit with 3 pieces of scrap. Fortunately, it does look like he missed 1 piece of scrap from it, but now he looks to just be like wavering, trying to find his way back.
Okay, don't. Oh, okay.
Right up top
We're
there.
gonna fight the spider. Are we ready?
Yep.
Fight! 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 Fight!
Uh oh.
That's not good.
For the company! Give her back!
Fight.
God damn it! It killed me too.
And
Oh, at least I
It killed me too.
Spider's so yoked.
yeah, you can head over there.
Why is it so yoked?
That took at least 4, 5 shots.
Yeah, I was like, I hit it with at least 2 or 3. What the fuck?
Damn.
Well,
We got
Natalie.
I think
It's-
this is a loss for capitalism.
no, just get out of there, Hillary. Just grab the stuff.
Tell me when it's approaching me. I'm gonna fight it. It has to be low. I have the shovel now.
That's what we thought too, and then we died.
It has to be low.
Has to be
I
low.
will let you know.
Oh,
We need to install the AK-47 mod. It gives us an AK-47. 30 rounds.
I see it.
50 cal sniper.
Some,
Well, doesn't help that it's also so much harder for me to fight it because I have to have arachnophobia mode on. Otherwise, I will not have a good time.
Hillary,
oh,
another
you've
enemy.
got arachnophobia mode?
Oh god, yes. Oh my god, I cannot play with that thing being normal.
I don't.
Good for you.
What did you see? That made me
Because
retreat?
something is seriously wrong with my brain.
There was
apparently.
another enemy that came out of the wall. Was not going to be
Oh,
working.
that's not good.
Our flashlights, though, and our
Our
walkie.
flashlights in the
Alright, I'm on my
walkie.
way back.
Love our great gear. Dropped it off and ran back for it.
Oh, went out of shit.
Get it, Jelly. Don't be a wimp.
Yeah.
I wanted to avenge. I
Look
wanted
at
to
him
avenge our
hustling.
fallen comrades. Oh my god.
Yep.
We're all webbed. Nice.
Yeah.
I did not. Also, I don't have arachnophobia, but the sound it makes is the most horrifying thing ever. Like, I wanted to throw up when I heard this. But I couldn't see it, but I could hear.
Yeah, Jelly's loaded. Apparently found like 3 items in there.
Oh. Okay, well, smart call on his part.
Yeah, I told him.
I love these rooms.
They're nice rooms.
Oh, see, is that a lock? Okay, it's not a locked door, but like, I had keys.
Oh, this piece of scrap right there, I think. Might have the bottle though, I can't really tell.
Did you pick up my keys?
It's whisk.
by the
There we
way?
go. I picked up one of them and then I did the big. Oh, come on! There's literally the whisk right there. Jelly, come on, man. No jelly, come on. Oh my god.
Jelly.
There you go. We should be allowed to whisk the enemies.
Whiskey business.
Whiskey
He's
beach.
still right around the fire exit.
Lethal company and whiskey business.
Hi.
What's left?
Hello?
I'm,
you
I'm
find
right
it?
under you. Yeah, I got it.
Oh, cool.
Did you find it?
It was a wisp heading on a shelf.
Yep.
Well, we'll still be quota, but definitely not as good as that first run.
Yeah.
Gretchen, we also found a gold
Alright,
bar.
now we're back and we're gonna head out.
Like, I want them to get the walkies
Jelly?
and the flashlights, because those are worth a lot.
Alright.
Did we lose Jelly?
No.
He's right there. He's just being a freak.
Well, we at least have
Jelly.
basic
Why am I talking?
backup, so and an extra walkie.
Hey. I
Yeah.
could have
Alright.
killed that.
All three?
I'll get revenge next time.
Could have killed it as if.
Thank you for your
As,
service,
Remember, Hillary,
Hills.
revenge is not profitable.
she's doing her best,
looking
but
too good right now.
Yeah, you don't say.
She's just napping.
I took the Spider-Man thing.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Why is she like slowly rotating?
Rotate, Layla.
I'm still the
How
most
How did you
vulnerable.
sustain the most injuries? If you
Because I
did-
jumped from like right at the top of the fire exit.
Oh, there was like nothing there, anyways. Yeah, Hills, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if you could have fought that because we took. Layla landed at least 2 or 3 hits. And I landed at least 2 or 3 hits.
Okay, company. I stored some of the stuff,
Company
by the way,
building.
so we didn't
I
have.
took the Spider-Man thing too far, I think.
Building immediately. Sell your scrap metal for
See?
other goods.
See?
Yeah, how you feeling about Spider-Man now?
To meet the profit quota. You can use
Oh,
the
Still the same. I went to the movie. I went to the new Spider-Man movie with her. It's yeah, no, there's no change in that.
Yeah.
I just literally were you there in the call yesterday when I was showing off all my Spider-Man stuff?
No, I think you joined a little bit after
man, I showed off the popcorn bucket I got.
that. Literal autism happened that day.
With my collection of mangas. It's forward how many.
Granted, that's how I
books
feel
I've
about all my
bought.
Gudetama shit I have sitting around my room, so you know I've got no room to talk.
I'm literally wearing a Spider-Man shirt right now.
It's
What I was
Spider-Man.
wearing
It's
yesterday.
Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man.
I'm wearing the same one that I wore yesterday because it's my pajama shirt right now. It's so comfy.
Oh,
Who pissed it
Just
off?
getting their ass beat.
oh.
Oh, wait. Wait, who pissed it off?
Doing business.
Who died?
Oh,
Hillary.
not me.
Curious.
Why is it not letting me?
Worth a shot. Figured I'd try.
Just gets fed up with me, takes the sip stuff, and makes me leave faster. Thank you. Okay.
Now pay us.
See, that's thank you, dickhead, is the relationship I have with that thing.
There's nothing currently on sale, so I think we'll wait until we're up in the air to check for
Shit.
sales. No, we're fine. We're fine. There's nothing on sale currently.
I was gonna say I didn't even.
Unfortunately, we're still 40 off in order to get pajama suit.
Damn it.
It's perfectly fine. We got a while. We got a
Yeah.
while.
Welcome back, Hills.
All right,
You learned your lesson.
I just got.
Oh my God,
we
we just took-
excited. I just really want to touch the
you
bell.
just took a massive fee for that.
Oh God.
Like how much it would be?
Like 172
Guys,
of a
extension
V.
ladders and spray paint are 30 and
Holy
30% off.
I swear to God, I did
Oh,
not
there's a
notice this
pajama
thing
suit
open.
this week. Does anyone want an inverse teleporter? Or the loud
I don't like the inverse. That's just my personal.
I'm good.
But guys, a goldfish is
Do we-
only
do we have enough
$50.
flashlights? A lot of
Get
us
it,
died.
get it. We need a little friend.
Yeah.
I
What's
want-
this?
Just only.
This guy.
Ain't nothing like y'all.
Look at him. I'm gonna
I
put him
ain't
over here.
nothing like y'all.
Oops. Oop.
I'm gonna name him.
There we go. Hey there, buddy.
Just a little
What are you gonna
guy.
name him?
Okay, does anyone want an extension ladder?
Kind of looks like a Tim, doesn't he?
Tim or like Ricky?
I don't know. I was thinking Steven.
Steve?
I-
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, Steve. Steve's
Steve
good.
works for me.
Or Steven. Either one.
Steve's my new little.
Steven's his full name, but he goes by Steve.
Matt, can you ask your chat what the loud horn does? Because I still do not
There's
have an
I don't know if
answer.
there's anyone here to begin with, so. But I'm sure the internet can tell us. Can stop? Can you stop?
Do it. I mean, stop.
It's so wonderful.
I see. Okay,
Loud horn.
check the
Legal
moons.
company.
Oh my god, Assurance is the only one that's not flooded, foggy, eclipsed, or stormy.
The loud horn can be heard from anywhere. It can also be used to lure eyeless dogs back to the ship, helping your crewmate get inside. How would that help him get
Oh.
back in? What?
Inside, like, the building? That's...
Oh, it draws them off. It draws them out. It lets the crewmate come back in.
Company 7 crewmate monitor the ship. Signal their crewmates when they're still in the facility to believe it's getting too late in the day to make it safely back before midnight, because you can hear it anywhere. So that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, true.
What'd you all order, by the way?
I ordered like 3 new flashlights, 2 walkies, and then 2 cans of spray paint because they're on sale, and I want to be able to mark where we've been.
Okay.
I know everyone just uses it to draw dicks, but I need to mark where I've been. I have a horrible memory.
Cool, I want to drop it.
And also draw dicks.
Yeah, as you should.
Other ideas.
Draw the wangs. Ha 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 ha. Funny penis.
And it's piss colored.
It is piss colored. I feel like that was intentional.
Draw the world's biggest spray paint schlong.
Hell yeah.
But when me and my buddy were playing this game, and we were guaranteed to die, we bought some spray paint inhalants, and we just like sprayed anarchy symbols all over. It's like, free us, say fuck the company kind of shit. It was really funny. Grab that. I need a walkie.
Okay, here's a walkie.
Perfect.
I can't spread on the ground? Not on this ground, at least. I'll do it at the entrance.
Bow bow bow. Bow 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 bow. Hello? Oh, it's a fucking spray can. It scared the shit out of me immediately.
Why is it not working?
You have to spray it for a little bit. Oh, you have to shake it up. Make sure you shake it up.
How do you shake it up?
I don't know. There's another button. I don't know. Press the other button.
It's like there's scrap in this little like gray area.
Holy shit.
What?
I almost fell off.
Oh, yeah. That happens. Nothing over there?
I got it.
It's a beautiful drawing.
Okay, I'm gonna mark this whole section as taken care of. Okay, so this hallway.
Well, we already went over it.
Anyone running scares me.
Bah.
It usually means something bad.
Would be like farther into these rooms over here.
what we got.
There's nothing over here.
Really?
Not that I saw.
Okay, well here.
You can do one quick over, or once over.
I think this is clear.
Damn. We get scammed. We do gotta start trying to visit harder places though, to be fair.
Huh?
We do gotta try to start visiting harder places though, to be fair. We need better loot.
Might have been me. Turret, I think. I think that's a turret, I think.
Hey Malcolm, do you have any eyes on anything in front of us? Like directly in front?
Look.
Yes, straight ahead.
Don't take a left.
See if we can even find the valve. Got it. Clear up in here.
Keep your lights off.
I can't fucking see anything. Where am I? There are two
Is it
fucking
off?
broken valves? There
Oh my
is.
I bet it's gonna be like where.
Oh, something's here.
No, we can't go that way.
Fuck was that?
I'm out.
Oh, it's the
Bye.
little pink-tailed things. They're not super harmful unless you fucking bother them.
Guys.
Evil monster.
We're alive.
There's a monster.
No, I'm about to not be.
Why?
Oh, spider.
Fuck you.
Get out.
I'll distract it. Go on the railing. Oh, okay, she jumped over it. She jumped over it.
Go.
I'm out.
Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Fuck this.
Nothing was achieved. I didn't get a single thing.
I found like a V8 engine and that was it.
3 times.
Oh, I think they need to nerf you. I'm gonna be honest.
They did by giving me so little stamina.
Well, we achieved like nothing. Okay, we got those 3 items.
Is there anywhere specifically I should look?
No, not from the main entrance.
We found a spider in a big-tailed thingy and we're scared,
Hey there.
so we're not gonna...
Yeah. You found
Find the lie.
scraps that were around that, like, in this area.
Yeah. Wait, where is?
Yeah, Layla,
Oh,
I
by
saw...
the way. Oh, sorry.
Layla, I saw you just... by that. I don't know what it was.
It was a spider.
What was it?
I juked it 3 separate times.
Yeah.
He vaulted
Okay.
over that spider.
Dude, I saw
that
saw
was
you
cinematic.
just sitting in the corner, and I was like, do I just teleport Layla out so we don't?
Oh, I'm
get
glad you didn't. Because
I know.
Let me give you a play-by-play of how this went. So I was
Should
sitting
we-
there
should we
trying to
keep
spray
trying,
paint.
or- Try another day?
No, it's too
floor.
late.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too
I
late.
was trying to
get back.
spray paint the floor on an area to mark that we'd been there, and I hear like a little scurrying that the spider does, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm sure that's nothing to worry about. So I just kept spray painting. I turned, I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, huh. And it was just standing there, it was watching me. I'm like, okay. I went back to spray painting, and then I hear the turret go off from them. And I'm like, I'm sure everything's fine. Everything's okay.
How is
Wonderful.
And then I juked it.
Oh. I'll probably be on that
How
turret.
paranoid determined?
By the
Also,
way,
I want to take
if there's a turret,
We walked directly. Turned it off the first time around. I was happy about
Yes.
that.
we're,
say
we're,
about the
we're
turret?
thankful. But if I see a turret, or like if you guys see a turret, draw like like a turret, I guess, like marking the hallway right next to the hallway or wherever it's near, like
Good
2
idea.
sticks and like 2 stickman legs, stickman body, and then like a horizontal line coming out.
Here,
I-
like, okay. Hold on, I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, you can do it here.
This is what I'll be marking when like an area is clear or it's empty, or it's basically we just cover the whole area. And then this is.
So we have 119.
Wait, hold on.
So like a eye symbol almost.
Yeah, kinda. Like that.
That's just a blob,
So
but
it's
okay.
not a square. It's just like it's the lower half of an X with a line instead.
Alright,
Wait, what does that mean? That's the our
Do you guys
turret?
still want me on cams?
it's been
Sure.
fine so far, so.
If you want to.
Still want
Alright,
what?
I'll stick on cams.
Alright, so all of the base planets are good, but we do probably have to try to take on some harder planets. That way we can, you know, or moons. That
Are
way we
March
can make
and
more
Vow
money.
okay?
March is okay.
March we can do for a decent amount.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave my. No, I'm gonna bring my spray can. I'll bring my.
I'm gonna leave mine this
If I-
time.
If someone
So,
does.
Does anyone else
Someone needs
want
a
to
spray
bring
can
one?
besides me, because I have 3 things in my inventory right now.
So I looked up what makes you the most paranoid, and apparently it's just having the most camera movement.
It's kind of funny.
Should have
That's me, just
considered
like-
camera movement because I
No,
saw the spider,
it's-
I froze, and I'm like, oh,
Jelly, do you
I
want
just
the
went
spray
right
can?
back to it.
I'm okay.
Let's go.
That makes sense why I
It's-
usually get most paranoid.
2 in my
from-
inventory
I'm not
already.
bringing.
No, no,
Do you
I
want
feel
to
like
take
the,
It's broken.
Okay, maximize profits, everyone.
alright.
It's all about the money.
The company, we gotta be good for Papa Bezos.
Elon?
My brain stopped there.
I think Bezos started this all. I mean, we're ordering things.
Probably.
And
I mean, this is 532 years in the future, I think. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he found some way to outlive us all and
I
start
think Elon
companies
is
in
like
space.
evil villain.
They don't
Like,
even
he
have
looks like
fun.
one. You ever seen him standing on the beach? Like on the dock, that one image of him?
He reminds
That-
me of that one guy in the this Doctor Who's Christmas special, Voyage of the Damned. That's what it was.
Fun. Oh, present. Can I open it? Ooh.
Yes, you can.
Merry Christmas.
Ding, flazzle dumb. Oh, just sheet metal down here.
We should do
Let me
more
see.
sea shanties.
Oh, I have a playlist full of.
There's the once was I meant to put whiskey in the name of the ship was a Billy. Went through hard about up down below his pretty boys slow.
That's not
Who
it.
made the Wellerman come
Where's the
to rent tea and rum?
Oh, it's like
One
hovering
day
up
when the
there.
tongue is done, we'll take our
Y'all
leave
can
and
hear that,
go.
That's a turret.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Just
that
lamp
who
being
sneaks
crazy.
No, no, no,
from
no,
went down until we're right where for. Oh, there's a melee mine over there. Captain
Yeah.
calls our head and
This is
for
long
we take that
hallway.
trail and
Next
go.
left turn, if you take another left, you'll get into a bigger room.
Cookie bowl.
that has just
Hell yeah, I don't mind if I did.
Yep.
Large axle.
There's tons of stuff over here. Oh, stop sign.
Fuck yeah, boy.
Can you get my inventory's full? Can you? Oh, no, I'll just drop the key.
I can base something up.
There's a key
There's
over
a key
here.
on the floor
Did
over
someone
there.
grab the large axle?
Yeah, I
Okay,
got it.
where's the key?
I'm
I got
going
it.
back to the start. Can someone
I
get
have
me?
a key as well if we find any rooms.
Scan for this was 18 objects, 1,500 or so credits.
And
Looks
another
like
key.
you've already picked up 5, so good work.
I'm gonna grab that one too.
Empty.
It's Edge.
Why won't it let me get the key?
I don't know.
There we go.
Is your inventory full?
Leave and go.
Oh wait, did we go to the other side of
Rent tea and rum. One day when the tongue is done, we'll take our leave and go.
Oh, we didn't go over here, did we?
I don't think so. Oh, just fucking back rooms.
Oh.
Guys, here.
What?
Boop boop. This way.
Found back rooms. In case something happens.
Apparatus.
Bro, why does it look like a dick?
Actually, there is a piece of
It's a
scrap.
good question.
You guys were present.
Yep, that's an apparatus.
Oh,
Don't worry about it.
Hey guys, fire exit. And a large axle. Hold on.
And also across
Ooh.
that jump, there is another piece of scrap.
Oh, yep,
Where's
it's an
the
axle.
large axle? Oh, I see it.
Can you look? Can you light that for me? Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
No!
Not down, not down.
Yeah, teleport Nat's body. Here, light the other side and the
games, man.
Layla. Oh, it looks like Layla's noticing. Or is she? It's oh.
What was it?
Who?
It was a bracken. I looked at it for a second, looked away. I found a clown horn.
No.
Yeah.
I was so happy because Jelly was saying maybe you should come back, and I'm like, no, 1 second.
All right, looks like we
And,
lost
and I
Layla.
saw the clown horn. I'm like, oh, so worth it.
Teleport her back. Did she have scrap on her?
I did.
She did, but
I
I'm
did.
thinking it's probably going to be guarded because
did
I
have
think she
scrap
got
on
taken
me.
out by a spider.
I did have scrap on me.
You still teleported me back, which is concerning.
Yeah, it's
What?
across the jump from the
Yeah, I
fire
know.
That's your
exit.
body.
No,
and
that's
it's still
no, it's
there, so I would not recommend.
it's your body.
Mine?
going for it.
Yeah,
What?
I'm still in the
Okay,
hole.
I'm gonna head. It's not near our main door, right? Like she was in the other area.
Right.
Jelly. It looks like-
Yeah, but okay. I'm gonna start heading back. I am a bit lost, but that's fine.
At least we got the plastic
Jelly
fish
is
and
currently
the cookie mold pan.
Yeah, for sure.
Kinda in
Bigger one with the
danger,
clown
but
horn.
I don't think he knows that, and I don't think there's any way to tell him that. Looks like he's kind of realizing that. Good.
Is Jelly getting lost? I won't lie. As much as I like March better than Bow,
Update to everyone
I
with the walk. It is
cannot
currently
find
3:45
my way
p.m.
out of the fire exits here. Think
Oh.
Natalie, are you
Oh,
still
hi,
there?
Sol. Thanks for the
Well,
resub.
let's check.
Welcome. Me and Layla are currently dead, so you know, there's that. We're
we
sitting.
made smart choices.
I made a bad parkour choice. How has he not teleported me yet? I'm dead. I'm sitting in the same
He
spot.
was just asking if you're alive. You said nothing. He's gotta know.
He's gotta know.
I don't think Jelly knows where he is. He's lost.
It's got the plastic fish.
Chivalry's gonna be the most profitable. I'm calling it. Oh no, he found it.
Teleport me out.
Welcome back.
Would it
Thank you.
be cheating
Yes.
if I were to? Okay, no.
Did Layla die?
Yes.
For me to play this game with Katie is worth it. In my opinion, yeah. For $10,
Hold on, let
it's
me
well
let my
worth.
cat out.
Yep.
1 second.
Yep, thought so.
It's a very silly. It's a very scary and silly little game.
Hello.
Teleport my body.
There's another handful of stuff I'm gonna go back for.
All
Oh,
right.
do you want help?
I mean, nothing's too hard, nothing like too heavy to carry, so I think I'm good.
Do you guys know
Okay.
if Natalie died or if she just went AFK?
Back.
Probably dead.
Okay.
Yeah, dead.
Okay, I'm gonna go grab stuff.
Yeah, I'd
Oh,
assume if
fine.
they're not moving, they're dead, both of them.
Yeah. All right. I think I'm gonna have to teleport then.
There's dogs right outside.
No, I think that's a
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
About what it is.
one of those birds.
That was.
Big ones, not the
Oh, look who it
manticore.
is.
Oh, it was
Unfortunate.
Look who it is. It's a dead body pile.
Yep.
Chivalry's gonna be the most profitable. I'm calling it. Okay, would it be
Stop sign.
cheating if I were to look up one of the maps? Because the inside of the maps changes, but where the fire exits are in relation to where we spawn in our ship.
Not necessarily, because the fire exits never change. So
Yeah, that's why I wanted to look it up.
yeah, that's not cheating.
I just need to know where the fuck.
No dogs allowed.
Okay,
No dogs near me.
that's foul. We're on March right now, right?
Correct.
Yeah, March map.
I don't like.
Oh, actually,
no, I
it's
do like
December.
dogs.
The audio meant to be this
Aw,
bad in
man,
the game?
there's 3 separate
I mean, it's
ones
not
and
meant
they're
to
all
be like
annoying.
special. It's like it's meant to be a little scuffed, a little crunchy. That way, the sounds resonate a little bit higher. Like it's a fairly lower poly game made by one dude.
Fine, that's a good, fair enough point.
Oh, I think the dog's chasing something else. Oh my god.
Okay, we're good. We're good.
Oh, now I
We're
can hit
fine.
them one more time.
Oh, wait, one
There
guy
we
made
go.
all this? Yeah. Yep,
He was hitting us
one
with
dude.
a
That's on the
stop sign.
ground. Oh, the blood just flew away.
Profit. Positive death, gravity, and strangulation. Nice. Strangulation?
Oh yeah, Bracken
Oh,
snapped my
that's
neck.
what I see now.
Is that
That
a
was
Kraken
very
one?
therapeutic.
I think that's Spider.
Oh.
Nope, it's
Strangulation is a spider. You think it'll bite
No,
you?
spider, I would have a wrapped body.
I don't know.
We need more. We definitely
Wait,
need more.
Layla, that was
Welcome
a Spider,
back.
right?
No, it
Welcome
was a
back.
Bracken. So
Oh,
Jelly
yeah.
said you should come back for 1 second. I saw a clown horn and I got really excited because I'm like, oh, that is so worth it. That is so worth not going back. And I was grabbing it. A Bracken spawned like right there. Looked at
Yeah.
it for a second, looked away, but it still decided, nah, mate, you're not getting out of this alive, and snapped my neck. So, yeah,
Rest in peace.
I'm gonna be honest.
Back.
I know. For once, you were right.
Natalie, did you just fall?
I fell.
Yeah.
March is still unflooded and like untouched, and we need money. So
Okay, well, I know where the fire exits are now.
cool, let's do it. We only need about 100 scrap, which isn't too bad.
Okay. I'm gonna the profits because I'm not gonna death kills. I'm ready to go.
Here, wait,
I have
can
my
I,
radio.
can I just follow someone this time? A good
You can follow
flashlight.
me. I have my radio
have...
and flashlight.
Okay, cool. I've got a cheapo little flashlight.
Actually, I was planning to just head
Okay.
in. Or should I stay back?
It's
I can stay in cams if you wanna.
Yeah, you got it.
Cool.
Here, I'll take walkie still then.
Yep, smart.
Hello?
Yep, I got my just turn my walkie on. All by myself. What are you meant to do in this game? Collect scrap for a company that does not give a shit about you. There's scrap directly in the bridge, straight forward from the door.
Alright, I'm here now.
Lamp, if you turn around and go down the hallway, there's scrap at the end of the hallway. No, keep turning. There you go, that one. So like a regular job, yes. But like deadly. There's like monsters and shit inside there. You got it, perfect. Scrap right in the corner of that room, unless it's locked. It's beyond that. It's beyond that door, right in the corner. Bottom floor. Yeah, it'll be through that door right there. Right in the corner. You got it. What do you mean, boo? You trying to scare me? Tried to scare you. I gotcha.
Found landmine. It's in the middle of a hallway that's illuminated, so you should be able to see it easily. Tell that to the other people, please, if they can.
All right, Hills, I got on you. There's nothing over that area if you want to turn around from there. Keep going forward. I'll let you know if I see anything. Here's Nirvana's new CD. CD's nuts. Ha 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 ha. That looks like the area's empty.
Alright.
I'm watching Hills right now. I can open the Z3 for you.
Yes, please.
All right, I don't see anything on cams. So doesn't look like there's anything. I'll get D6 open for you as well.
Alright, sounds good.
Another landmine in a corner wherever I am.
Hills, there is one scrap somewhere in that room. It might be right underneath those stairs. There's 2 pieces of scrap, unless they're both big items.
Or wait, where's the other?
If you don't see it there, it might be up top on the stairs. I no longer see it. It might be lower. Yeah, it might be in that corner somewhere. It says there's a second piece of scrap over there. You got it. Perfect.
Inventory full. I'm gonna make my way.
Copy that. Jelly and Lamp, just there is nothing in that area.
Alright, thank you for letting me know.
Spider spotted. We're unsure. Shit.
Hey Natalie, do you have any clue where the entrance is? Never mind, Jelly and I are good.
I say, yeah, you guys got it. Closes out. Layla's not wand walkie, is she?
No, she's not. Is she dead?
No, there's 3 scrap in her room though. She just passed a fuck ton.
There is a spider, and she did start screaming, so that's a possibility.
Ah, so there's 4 scrap in that area. There's 5 scrap. There is so much scrap on Layla. Like, so much scrap.
Direct me around her if I'm with her.
Someone is near her. Yeah. There's 3 scrap within the area. There's 1 right behind there. There's 1 over near the door, and then there's something within the other room.
Another fire exit right here.
Yeah, there's a scrap within that room you were just looking at. Turn it back around. Or you're gonna drop off stuff. Go.
Inventory full. 1 second.
This game sounds scary. It's scary when you're not cams. It's not too bad when you're cams. Gotta get the privilege of not having to deal with anything. Kind of. Cool. Those gamers are alive.
Hey there.
Hello.
Did Layla die?
Nope, they're both still alive. We're chilling.
Cool. Alright, gonna go pick some more stuff up.
Go for it.
We're en route right now.
Cool. At some point, you guys have to go back in. There is at least one more thing inside there.
Did I hear that there's something inside the fire exit?
Yeah, semi.
Alright, let me check.
I think there's bees in front of you, so be careful.
Sorry, could you repeat
What
that?
near us?
Never mind. It was just scrap.
Alright. Jelly and I are gonna head back and call it a day.
I need to charge when we're.
I just dropped my flashlight from the cheap one and I ran out of charge.
Okay. Okay, we're going
Okay,
back.
I'm gonna go back for the other.
to pick up the other stuff.
Man, we got hella shit.
This is a haul.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Thank you for your expert navigating skills. I would not have probably made it out as well.
Gotcha. You're good. I'll guide you once you're back in. There's still a little bit of stuff in there.
There's a ton of stuff here.
Oh, maybe not.
Oh, that's giant. That means we get back.
Wait.
Layla, there's a giant.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we're safe in the ship.
How safe? Sand is clipping.
His hand was in here.
Yes.
Layla, I don't mean to alarm you, but there is a giant right outside the ship.
Is Layla even walking up?
No, she isn't. I'm done. Whatever.
The giant have a giant? No, the giant is monstrous, cannot hear, and he can only see, and he has a massive mouth that will just eat your fucking head off.
What if I spray painted something on the ground and said?
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to
No.
Twitch chat.
She's dead. I'm gonna. If she gets near, I'm gonna start
No,
yelling.
once Layla gets close, I'm gonna run.
Yelling doesn't
grab
matter.
her.
It's about sight. So.
Yeah,
it-
that's what I'm
it-
telling her. I don't know
Hold
if she
on.
sees it.
What if we paint a bunch
Tell
of
me,
dicks
tell me
on
when
the
Layla,
ground so
no,
that
tell
it
me when
gets
Layla gets
distracted?
close. I'm gonna run out and go try to distract it so that she can get in with the scrap. I might die.
Okay. Okay.
Otherwise, teleport.
Okay.
Because I'm not gonna have
Good
anything.
luck. She's still moving. I don't know where she is.
Coming.
Oh, she took the
Layla?
fire exit.
Oh.
Oh, she sees it.
Uh-oh.
She's dead
oh,
as hell.
Shit.
Oh wait, she got by it.
Oh.
Go. She's.
Giant.
Oh shit.
Oh my god, she's still running. She didn't know.
Did she drop the scrap?
Is she? No, she hasn't.
Oh, there's dogs now too. Shh, shh.
Wait, who are we waiting on?
Lance died. He tried to distract
He
the
died.
giant for
He
you.
dead. He's died.
Oh
Where the hell,
no,
where
I
the
was
hell are these
fine. I
sounds?
didn't need any distracting. Why don't we just summon him?
I already tried.
I
Didn't
guess
work.
also we learned
He's-
we can't
he's-
teleport people.
He's digested.
Aw,
Yeah.
man.
Can't charge
We learned
people
we
that.
can't
I was gonna
teleport.
say he didn't need to distract it. That's why I looped around. I was fine. Oh, buddy.
Alrighty.
Hey there.
You daddy hero, kind of.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yep.
He
Okay.
died. the
Company,
hero.
we have enough. At least
I
you
You
have
need
got
horn.
scrap
one
on
Okay,
clown.
guys?
Scrap.
Care about nothing
kinda
else.
awesome
I'm
now.
keeping a clown horn so we can keep a stop sign. Thank
Wait, do we want both horns?
I did already grab one this time. You guys want it?
Heartbroken.
Okay, load up 3. Guys. Okay, regret this. Load up at least 3 inventory slots with the small stuff, then grab a big.
I don't know if there's any more small stuff to grab.
Yeah,
It's
there's
okay.
nothing small.
That's good.
Just
That's
the
good.
big
We'll just take the large ships then.
Company. Don't jump.
We've brought our offerings.
Papa Basil.
Why is there an axle right there?
Because it fell out of the ship.
That's hilarious. I'm not pressing it.
I'll press it if you
What
guys
do you get? Another
I better
day
luck.
on the way.
save that damn.
It's full. It's full. Back up.
Okay. Everybody.
I'll keep this horn.
Take it.
Hell yeah.
Because I can't go.
You don't have to tell
I
me
owe my
twice.
soul.
I did.
This is what happened to me.
Hey, stop,
Actually, no,
stop,
you
hey,
opened it
back up.
and I kept ringing.
Piss him off.
Hey, no. Here. The thing is, I bully it. It doesn't kill me, and then it does the thing. Fine. I'm
Yeah,
okay
Remind
being
me of something.
Watch
I'm not
it
gonna
kill you
say
this
it.
time.
Hentai motherfucker. Take it.
Oh, I can grab
This
my
is
thing.
the time. This is the time we get fed up with Layla.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
You are true
Not
professionals.
without you.
Okay. No starting the ship.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Did we ring bell? Wait, did we ring bell? We didn't ring it. We didn't ring it.
No, I'll
Wait,
ring it.
wait.
Why are we not selling the horn?
Because
Layla wants it.
ringing it still.
Okay, interesting. Those things are worth like $90, but okay.
Layla. Layla.
What?
Matt wants to sell the horn.
No.
It's apparently worth $90.
We don't need 90.
It's fine. We'll keep it. We'll keep it. It's fine.
This is priceless to me.
We
No,
just need
sell it.
one.
Jam
Just
it
need
too.
one horn.
It's fine. No, I actually think if the sales, if this pajama suits come into rotation, we might have enough. Oh.
Where did it go?
How do you shake it?
It lands over.
Q.
Where did it go?
There we go. Are you dancing? Yes. Ah, that's close enough, game. Come on, give it to me. Thank you. There's like nothing good right now. Jelly, don't waste all of it. It doesn't have a minute. It doesn't have a minute.
Okay. It's a shadowy dick.
Sound behind the wall, September 4th.
Huh?
So I love a good game where the company doesn't give a shit about its workers, such as Deep Rock Galactic, Lethal Company. What is the other one? I almost said A Way Out. That's not the right one. What is it called?
Your mom.
Got me. All right, let's get us up. I'm gonna get us up. Let's get everyone on. We're gonna get us up in the air. We'll check store. Once we get up.
Pajama.
I will check
wait,
store
wait, wait.
as soon as it reset.
Oh.
No, there's nothing good. I already checked.
Okay.
Ah!
Oh, so do you mind if I go AFK for like a minute, two?
Yeah, sure.
Be right back.
Pardon? Sorry.
It won't do anything until that quest quota reached. Ah.
Stop hitting me off of it.
500
Hello?
I can buy the green suit.
Yes, actually, do that. Here, I'm gonna
Jam
knock
suit's
you
not
off
in
the terminal.
rotation.
Not currently.
Bang.
Yeah.
I'll let you get on. I just wanted to take a look.
Who's the captain of this ship?
It's meta.
Me, because I have the horde. Actually, I don't want to be the captain. I want to be the jester.
Does anyone want an inverse teleporter?
I don't really give a shit about it.
Me neither. Let me see.
You know who's the real captain of the ship?
Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Steve.
Yeah, I gotta say though.
It's him. It's him.
It's the boy.
Steve, I don't know who taught him that kind of language, but he was going after so many different groups. Like, man, that guy. Like, I was learning some words that I didn't even know.
He only hates gay people.
He only hates gay people? I'm his mother. He does not hate me.
I was about to say, he's
Oh.
on an unfortunate ship for that.
Okay, so I just remembered that there's a signal
Sorry.
translator. Okay, let me stop twerking on me. So, okay, you know how the loud horn leads off blind dogs?
No, it leads them to it, but nonetheless, yes.
Yeah. Well, okay. Anyway, the signal stop it. It lets the
I have
person in
no
the
idea.
ship
Different
send
angle.
out like transmit a 9, like up to 9 character, like a short message basically, like 9-character message. So if there's a blind dog roaming around and you can't use the walkies, you could it'll go anywhere on the planet. By the way, you could say that anywhere.
Interesting. That'd be
It can
kind of cool to have.
more cost-efficient than buying a lot
Hi,
of
Richard.
walkies, but you know, as long as we have a code system.
I also
and
grabbed
understand.
a mochi from the.
So I'm gonna
these
get one of
crayons?
those.
They're kind of.
Those are batteries.
No, those
Y'all
are
ever had mochi
batteries.
ice cream?
I'm gonna pretend they're crayons though.
You mean crayons?
Yeah.
You mean crayons?
Nope, I mean crayons.
Like a cranberry?
Yep.
Can I move that fucking helmet?
Like K-R-A-N.
Shh. You're dumb.
No.
Shh. Wrong.
I can call them crayons till the day I die. I don't. give
All
a
right,
shit what other
Yeah,
people
because
say.
you're a fucking
So,
weirdo from Wisconsin.
Offense and March are untouched
Hey.
currently.
Hey.
Do we want to do March or do we want to do
Oh.
offense?
Offense might be nice to spice it up.
Wait, Malcolm, how do you say it?
Okay.
Crayons.
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 Crayon.
Friends.
Crayon.
Crayons.
Sorry,
like
how do you say
cranberries.
it?
I switch between either of them depending on like the sentence, like aunt and aunt. I say both.
Okay,
I
cool.
say both
Like,
aunt
Yeah,
and
same.
aunt. But
I had someone say,
crayons
like,
are
hey, which do you say,
crayons.
firefly or lightning
Crayons.
bug? And I'm like, it
Crayons.
depends who I'm talking to.
Crayons.
crayons.
Ooh, lightning bug.
It's a crayon.
What-
It's
what-
one
what kind
syllable.
of, like,
I know. Well, to be
What
fair,
kind of
no. So,
British
hey, Soul,
motherfucker, you're
hey,
like,
sir,
crayon?
Soul, confirm yes.
I
You
want to
but
go
offense
get
was
some
spelled with an
crayons.
S in the game. Thank you very much. You fucking twat. Get off my back.
So,
The audacity. Tell the audacity to tell. Oh yeah, how do I use that?
Okay, so what you're gonna want to do is go into the terminal, type transmit, and then like don't press enter, but say
Ah.
see, that gets
So what? You
broadcast
said
to everyone.
transmitter?
What is built?
No, just transmit and then
Transmit.
space and then whatever your message is. It can only be about like 9 characters.
Oh, let's read it. Can I get a guac and chip then?
Nice. See?
Just a normal guac is good.
Cool, got it. I'm gonna take cams again.
Nah, that's all I want.
alright. Actually, I feel like I might go without walking.
Who sent that?
That's fine. If at least one of you guys want to take a walkie, that'd be
Okay.
wonderful. I'll just have communication with
walkie.
somebody.
I'll take
Where
it.
did it go?
I got you.
Oh wait, where did all my stuff go?
Alright, let's get out of here.
Oh, because I put it in here.
I think Layla already went in.
Someone took my good flashlight. You want cams?
Yeah, I got it.
I got you. Well, someone give me the dumb flashlight.
There's already so much scrap right within the entrance where Layla's at. So much scrap. That's really neat. I like that.
My teammates suck at parkour.
So I was noticing. Alright, so if you go straight forward and across the bridge to the right, there's a shit ton of scrap. Keep turning, go straight. Oh, not across. Don't go across. Go through the door go through the room that's over there. You might have to go forward from there. Yeah, there's at least 2 pieces of scrap in there.
Hello?
Hello?
Was there anything across the jump?
Not that I could see, but I don't know if there's anything more beyond what is outside of my map.
Okay, I'll check.
Two scrap in that room. Be advised, there's, I think, a mine near you.
What did you just say? Can you repeat?
I think that room right ahead of you has the, battery. Good jump, Hills. Nope.
barely made that jump.
Lamp another scrap in that corner of the room over there. In that room that with you and Layla. And then Layla has 2 more right in front of them.
Okay. There's a Layla.
In that corner right over there. You passed, unless that's the battery. Turn around. Keep turning. Keep turning. Turn around.
Which corner? You mean that corner?
Yes, that corner right over there.
That's the apparatus.
Copy that. Alright, Hills, I think you're completely clear on that side. Okay, there's 2 scrap, 1 right in front of you and 1 off to the side of that bridge area. And then there's 1 upstairs in that room as well. Yeah, keep turn. There's some scrap in the corner. Go back around. Go back underneath. There's some scrap, and there's also a scrap up in that room. But yeah, so there's a scrap in the room, and there's a scrap in the room that you're currently in, and then the room that's right in front of you. Okay, Layla got that one. There's that one right there. You got it. Layla, there's a scrap directly in front of you. Got it.
I don't think Layla has a radio.
Yeah, I'm realizing that every time I say, but you know. Alright,
Hello. I had the bad flashlight. I was alone.
Layla, I don't see anything else besides the apparatus in the area. That might be legitimately it. You guys had so much fucking loot.
Yeah.
Jealous? Jealous what? Tyler, if you install the mod, we'll get you in here, buddy. If you install the Better Together mod, I guarantee they'd probably be fine with a 6th. I can send you the YouTube link as well.
There. Is everyone else out? Because we're thinking about grabbing the apparatus.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
out.
Yes, I think we're just collecting stuff. What's this mod? It just allows for more players. I'm so bad at mods. It doesn't take much, Tyler. It's literally downloading 3 zip files and then dropping into the mod folder or into the Lethal Company folder. Yeah, Hills, be advised. There's a bunch of enemies near you.
Spider at the main entrance. At least a spider.
So I'll still mess it up. Well, I mean, that's fair. This one really doesn't take much, but you know, that's fair. I don't blame you. Alright, there's hella loot by the fire exit if you guys want to go try to find that.
It is about to be 6 p.m., so be wary.
Yeah, try to go find that fire entrance with everyone, the fire exit with everyone, because there's hella loot sitting over there. Like a lot of loot.
I'll go with.
It has to be over here, I think.
Well, there's both the 3 limit was no easy to still broken half the time when I had it. Use a mod manager, you psycho. This one doesn't have one, but use a mod manager. No, it saves a lot of that time there. You guys gotta learn to show them the entrance there. Fuck mod manager. It literally just allows you to manage your mods.
Huh?
Chat. You gotta remember this. You gotta show them that fire exit. That way they know where they're going.
Yeah.
Hills, the other 2 are coming right now. They could probably show you.
How to get up?
We'll just show you where the fire exit is. I don't know for sure. So.
Found him.
Gang's all here. Did I have 1.5 for the other mods? That's fair. Oh, okay. Didn't work. Gotcha. That makes sense.
You've lost your privileges.
But now I don't have any mods because I don't. Because one, I don't play with
Shit,
peeps that mod anymore, and two, I don't make an account for website peeps mod updates.
All that
work.
stuff. Fuck. Okay, let me think. Can I run in
What's going on?
and... I'm trying to think of how to get to that...
I'm returning. I don't
Alright,
think there's a way to get up there. We need a
There's
ladder.
Yeah,
gotta be a
me
way
neither.
up. There's gotta be a way up.
I don't think so.
Extension ladder is 50% off. I can get one ordered real quick.
Yes, please.
No, I
Well,
don't. We need a really tall
It's
ladder.
so late.
Yeah. It's
Here,
like,
okay,
It
let's
is
get
really
a
late.
ladder for the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's buy one real quick for the future, since it's the end of the day. We can, you know, if we order it now, here.
Eli, keep in mind it's warm outside.
Okay, so that'll drop in a second,
Yeah.
and we can go. And that's here.
That's so sad. That's so much shit.
I know.
Yeah.
I wish we
had a
knew so we
president
could
and
drop
Axel.
them.
I got
We
the
could have dropped.
present.
We could have. Oh. How'd you do that? brought it.
I could join. Get my present.
We do have 371, so we have some. We have some meat. Where is it? It's 11:24.
Yeah,
We
gotta
have
grab
to
it
go,
quick
like-
as hell. Yeah, literally the moment Lily gets back in.
Shit. She might not make it. Oh, she'll make it. She'll make it.
We're good.
Yeah,
Run.
it's
Okay, it doesn't leave
Come on.
exactly at
What's the
that
mod
time.
called? I'll send you a link.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. It's gonna bother me.
There's so many Rockies we just have in there. I'm gonna be a good goober and just.
God damn it, I'm always so paranoid.
Stop being paranoid. You got that?
Okay, we're.
Oh, Natalie, by the
Only
way.
be accessed with an extension ladder, unless you like jump and land on the pipes when it's in the ship is in its landing phase.
Oh
Oh,
my god.
I did drink.
That's a
That's
serious
stupid.
joke.
Hey guys, just for anyone on like walkies, I just want to establish that you can just, if you want to just do a yes of acknowledgement, just give a full little 360 spin. Just, you know,
That's fine.
just so that you don't always have to turn it back on.
And we'll all be
Do we want to do offense again? Because that's still unflooded and untouched.
Yeah.
Should we jump?
Definitely
You
Yeah,
got
we
an
got
extension
that
ladder
this
this time?
Let's jump while it's landing.
Points are not spending.
yeah, let's try.
I'll make jumping.
Get in the ladder.
Also, if he can,
How early can we
if he can actually get it installed properly, I have a friend that might want to join. Ooh, fuck.
I was so
Oh
close.
yeah, let's do it.
He's gonna attempt to solve him, but if we can get a 6, you know, we have a 6.
I landed back opposite.
How many players does this mod support? 20. Jesus, yeah. No, that'd be such a chaotic lobby, but it'd be so funny.
I forgot this was on.
You're all good. I'm watching over. All right, there is a turret immediately in the room to the left. It is watching over a single piece of scrap in the corner, unfortunately.
No, you don't.
Hello there. I'm approaching you.
There is a turret in the left room. Left room.
There's a scrap room.
There is a single piece of scrap in that room with in that room with the turret in the corner.
What corner? What corner? You can turn it off and I can grab it.
To the right corner.
Slime, there's a...
All right, I'm gonna disable it, and then you go for it. Disabled, go. There's something in that. There's something near you guys. Something big and red.
It's a slime, it's a slime.
What if you know 20 people? Ditto.
I'm gonna quick run back things.
Ellie lamp. All right, lamp. Everyone else is outside, so I've got my eyes on you. Slime is across that bridge though, so just be very careful as you move. Slime across the way. There's actually 2 slimes. So if you get caught by those guys, you're fucked.
There's 2 slimes.
2 slimes.
There's 2 slimes?
There's 2 slimes.
Yes.
Sounds good.
God damn, and a turret?
We're just gonna collect some stuff.
Don't know how much longer I can do that.
I'm gonna charge and then I'm gonna try things. Wait, did we get the ladder?
Did Lamp die?
Is it in?
No, Blamp's still alive for the time being, but there's 2 slimes on him. Ditto
Does he
American.
have the
Railings.
ladder
Tell him
with
to go
him?
on railings.
Do
There's
it.
railings.
Yeah, he's on the railings currently, but they're like literally
okay,
on
good.
top of him. Like if you look at the cams here.
Oh god.
If you jump to the other railing, you probably vault.
Oh,
Oh no no no!
oh, he got it. He
Oh.
nailed it.
Wait, hit the wrong.
Good jump there.
Okay, are we gonna try to go fire exit or what?
I mean, we could try. Where's the thing?
I think Layla might
Where?
already grabbed it.
Are you doing it?
Where? I gotta find her now. Not on radio.
All right.
Are they going to the fire exit with the extension ladder?
Correct. I was just about to let you know.
Yep.
I'm trying to nail that jump, but he can nail me. Stop, Soul. You don't even know him. Also, like, I how like half my friends are playing Lethal Company right now. I just keep getting a notification in the bottom corner, like, oh, this person's playing Lethal Company. This person's playing Lethal Company. Oh, Tyler, I just realized if you're still listening to the stream, it is gonna the video's not gonna show it off, but there is a third file you gotta drop in there. It's the middle file there. It's like a new API. Just get that. Just feel to drag and drop that in there as well. Did it work? Yeah, you have to drag and drop. There's a third file in there. It should be the middle link of that video. The video's not updated to have the new API in it. There's a turret in that room. There's a turret in that room. Now, why is the one person... Why is the one person that doesn't have a walkie the one that always goes in? All of you be careful. There is a room in that scrap... There's a turret in that scrap room.
Hey, Base, there's a turret to my left. Can you deactivate that?
There's nothing within that room anyways. Don't worry about it.
It's a landmine. It's a landmine.
Well, there's a turret as well. There's nothing in that room though.
Oh, okay. How about you where the other turret is that is about to kill whoever that... No.
Yeah. As soon as you guys make it. Oh, if you can go upstairs, there's 2 scrap upstairs.
Alright, where?
Turn around in the corner over there. Oh, turn, go back. There you go. Someone's going right down the right way. And then there's one at the end of the hallway as well. Yep. Oh yeah.
I'm home.
There is a scrap in the corner behind you as well.
And a land.
That might be.
There's still one more behind you, Hills.
That was a landmine. Never mind, I found it.
And that mentioned a 4th step, but that wasn't mentioned. Shut up. It's not my fault. I didn't make the fucking YouTube video. What do you want from me? Alright, I'm disable U9 for you guys can get by.
Tell him I grabbed the safety ladder.
Sounds like the safety ladder was grabbed, so be careful when coming back.
You saved my life. You saved my life. I took a right instead of a left, and I was right next to the turret when you deactivated it.
I got you, Hills. Don't worry. Oh, I just realized I don't think I can invite people in this. I think you have to invite them, right? G?
Me?
You see
Yeah.
anything
Who
else
do you
in the
want to
room?
win?
I'll get you his code. Or Tyler, can you send me your friend code real quick? It's my buddy I've known for like a decade. Sorry, I was talking to Layla.
Yeah, send it. Have them send it to you. Send it to me in Discord, and I'll
Yep.
add them on Steam.
Why are you going back in?
Is there anything else back in here?
No, we're clear. Get out.
There's nothing there.
Copy, I'm moving.
I cleared it.
Tyler, send me your friend code.
We got 3 ended here.
I need dog spawn.
Your friend code. Your Steam friend code. That way I can give it to my friend to add you on Steam so we can get you invited.
Yeah.
The jumping beasts are out. Are they dangerous?
I have no idea.
That's not good at all.
Does anyone know? Jumping beast? Dangerous? There are currently no bogeys around you though, so just keep heading forward. Oh, yeah, there's one to your right. Left, sorry.
That's okay, you're safe. Hold on, let me go scan that.
Are they dangerous at all?
Alright.
I
Hey,
don't
I
know
sent
if
you
they're
over. I
dangerous
sent
at
you
all.
over.
Okay. I'll add it when we're in the air.
We good? Everyone good?
Okay. Yeah. Good. Good.
Layla, are those things dangerous? Whatever happened around?
Only in packs, really. They'll
Okay.
attack if there's more of them than you. Sometimes if it's
Can we
one,
close the door?
they'll get really ballsy.
No, we don't have
and
to. We'll
try,
automatically
but
close itself.
otherwise, no.
Everyone's here.
Cool.
Okay.
Hey, I've got my friend joining as well, so we'll have 6 people.
This is surprising. That I was surprised everyone survived. There was a ton of stuff that.
Yeah, I feel like we collected way more than that, but
fucking
okay.
I went into the fire exit, and then the turrets just are like, oh, hello, and I'm like, ah.
Everyone get harder and
Yeah, I
harder.
almost
Every
died in that
kind of your quota increases, and games do not carry over. If you fail to meet quota, you die and you're over. You're done. Your turret's shut.
I can't tell how much we have, but it's at least 600. I
It's a
think.
good amount.
Right?
It's a hefty penny here.
We've made quota. We just.
I gotta pee real quick. I'll be right back, guys.
First.
Okay, no worries.
Okay. Store some things in case.
How much
all of us-
longer? How much longer are we gonna survive? Is the question. Like, how long are we gonna keep
Yeah.
getting lucky like this?
Ooh, that's a good
Turret.
question.
I should have died. I definitely should have died.
Okay, I gotta wait till Nat gets back to say this.
Yeah, Nat shut off the turret right as I turned the wrong corner in front of the turret. I'm like, oh. Jeez.
Ooh, walkie-talkies are. Ooh, hell yeah.
Can we not add people or something?
I have to, like, I think, not end the session, but close the server for a second and then reopen, invite everyone, I think, because it's not letting me invite friends right now.
Huh. Maybe we can't when we're in the middle of a day. Like maybe we have to meet. Maybe we have to get to
Well,
the company
yeah,
first.
yeah.
of a contract.
Yeah. So maybe we have to get to the
Yes,
end
well,
of
I mean, we've got one more day.
Yeah. Tyler, you might have to wait until we're done with this round in order to invite you. Maybe that's why.
Wait, hold on. What
Someone's
items
really
did you
big on
order?
the wall.
My Steam is
Oh
being
shit,
screwed up.
no, that's me. That's mine. There we go.
Yeah, you
Okay,
have to start
Where
fresh.
is-
Well, that's not true because we loaded up from the middle of this, so it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
a fresh game. It just has
Here,
to I
I'm gonna
think,
put
be
us on
not in the middle of the
experimentation, so
contract.
it's a kind of quick round since we got so much
Okay.
gear.
Need mod to invite midway. Yeah. I think we just have to be at the company in order to invite kind of thing.
Yeah.
Post-it note.
I ordered some stuff.
You can look at it. Look, it says Sigurd. Sigurd.
Oops, sorry.
What does it say?
Trying to land.
Layla.
File
Sorry.
name Sigurd. I haven't heard.
You threw a post-it on the ground.
I think after this quota round, we should be able to invite because it'll start the cycle again.
Yeah.
Right now, the invite friends thing has just been grayed out
Getting
for
up
me,
there,
even when
though.
we were in the air.
Okay.
All right, gamers, let's
Yeah.
all go in on this one.
Kraken.
Actually, I'm not gonna risk that. Not with this much scrap.
Hoorah!
Well,
Hoorah!
hold on. I got some stuff for us.
You want to be on campus this
Are you-
time?
I
I'll go in.
you.
Yeah, cool.
It's behind the rock. It's in the same place.
here.
Just the rock. There's a rock there now.
Red Sun.
My Amazon package.
Imagine that's how your Amazon package is right. Just.
It just comes flying down from the sky.
Rocket?
Christmas
Yeah.
music playing, hits you, and kills you sometimes. If you're not careful. Just imagine perpetual scorch.
Walkie, shovel. I'm gonna get this load on the ship. I'm gonna. We are indeed gamers, so. Alright, I'm walking up, going in.
Alright, sounds good.
Do not bring your flashlight, this might be rough.
Who's down there?
Me.
That whole path is dead end. You're gonna want to go straight ahead because that's where it's
Why is this vent open?
Already? Really?
Open vent? Where?
There's a vent open to the right. That might be a
If we
vent.
look down,
Please,
can we even,
please
like,
advise
see
we
it?
have a open vent. I need a light with me.
I have a half. I have a terrible.
Present.
Oh, yep, present.
Oops, sorry.
What was that sound? Oh shit.
Oh my god.
smoking. Sure, you're already seeing.
Between us,
Oh my
on the
god.
stairs.
What is it? Does anyone know? Oh god. I have nothing. I've got nothing.
You guys locked me on the other side.
It's a leech. I think the bug got teleported with everything though, so I'm a little bit worried.
What do you need a teleport for?
No, jelly got leached.
Teleported jelly.
Is he alive?
He is alive. I did teleport him away anytime.
What does that do to the leech when you teleport him? Does it just kill him?
Hello.
Well, I did not see it. Oh wait, was it a face hugger?
Correct.
Alright, then yes, that killed the face hugger.
Wonderful. There's an axis down here.
There is? Wait, down where?
Also, if you return to the room, oh, something big just appeared. I think that might be slime.
It's slime.
Yep. If you go back to the room that you were in, if there's a second floor to that room, it appears to be pre-juiced.
There's an access.
Floor still another piece.
Hey, there's a fire exit over here.
There you go.
Oh, where are you?
The slime was is near main entrance following me.
Follow my voice.
Got it.
Alright, thanks for the update.
Here. Beautiful. Where is it?
Oh hey, follow me.
There's one more piece in the corner.
Guys, can you hear me? The way that they get down to that.
Here, show me where you came from. I checked the area. It's empty.
Natalie and
Yeah.
Layla were able to go to fire exit.
There's apparently a slime not too far from us.
Right next to that doorway, there's another piece of scrap now.
Which way have you been so far?
Coming towards my voice, you can see the slime.
It's down here, yeah. But this is the area that has
the
the
server
slime.
room?
It's like
Yeah, I've not been beyond this.
Okay. Have you seen?
You guys hear a Brocken?
No, I don't think so.
There could be one.
And also there is a slime at the main entrance now.
Yes. Natalie, that door on your right. Yep.
I don't, guys.
What?
I don't hear a bracken, but I hear a loot bug. I saw it. No
There's a
shit.
door over here. Yeah, so I know there's a mod that mimics players. It's fucking horrifying.
Oh yeah, the mod or the.
The mod that
That
like
is-
mimics.
I would love to play with that one.
It'd be such a scary fucking mod to have. I don't have a key.
Yeah. Oh shit! It's the one time I didn't bring one.
All right, I think we're good to go to fire exit then,
There's
probably.
a gift box in there.
Oh, good.
Is everyone
Ah,
accounted for?
On the apparatus, we need a key.
Hold on.
for the time being, yes, we do need a key in order to get into a locked room that's near the fire exit.
Alright. Because, yeah, that room that it looks like you guys didn't go into is the one with the apparatus, which has the apparatus in one of the pieces. Scrap.
It's a gift box. And there's also a loot bug over here.
Alright.
He's in the corner.
On the top floor of the room,
Where'd he go?
you guys are in, there's another piece of scrap.
What?
There's a scrap in here?
This is the way it came from.
The door,
Fire exit.
Yep.
There was a
I'm
scrap.
gonna go back and grab a key.
Go for it.
Leave out what they're in, because the main
Where's drop off?
stack of keys right now.
I need to grab a key because there's some good stuff in there.
Alright, guys, this is gonna be the call. Come back.
73 pounds.
It's for something. And we've got a good amount of scrap. Yep.
I'm going to eat that.
Yeah, it's sitting right there. What? Oh, I see what you're saying. Wow. I'm gonna charge this. I'm gonna leave it behind though, so I can go grab the big stuff.
Here, can someone grab
mind me.
these?
Yep.
For that, at least, so I can move faster. I just need to grab a key.
Ooh, he's alive. Okay, grab him. One more.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Alright, I'll see you back at ship. I didn't realize we had everything.
Oh, no, wait. Do you want to come in for the I've got a key?
I don't have a flashlight anymore, but yeah, I'm coming.
I do.
Cool.
Here.
Give me a sec, I'm coming. Alright, me and Layla are going in. Just keep an eye on us. Keep an eye on me, I guess.
Alright, sounds good. Yep, walking by on you.
Okay, so it was down.
Through the server room, right? No.
Yeah. No, through here.
Loot bug.
I hear you. Shit.
It's a loot bug.
Through the. Yeah, through the server room. you said?
Yes, through the server room.
Was it across? No.
I think it was down. I think it's literally the way the loot bug's going.
Fuck.
And then that way, I think? Through the dark room?
No, wait, this way, I think? Nope, not this way.
I don't want to touch him. Every time I touch him, he always gets pissed off at me.
Here. Me.
Hold up. They're over here. Over here.
This
Over.
way.
I thought it was over here.
Right? This way. Ah,
Yeah,
here.
you got it. All right, I'll grab the gift box. You grab the apparatus.
Oh, okay.
All right, apparatus has been acquired. We're heading back now. Keep an eye on us.
I'll do it. This little shit.
We're almost there.
You there? Okay, yeah, you're there.
All right, we're on our way back.
Wow, this is a good run so far.
Well, that's more. I'll see you back at the shed.
Wait for me, I'm slow.
I'm waiting. Just kind of scouting out ahead.
7 pounds should not make me this slow.
How much?
Hold on. Let me turn that off. 37 pounds. I've carried dogs that weigh more than that, and I can run. And I'm not a strong person.
We have our useful weapons, we have our keys and noise machines, we have our weapons, and we have our ladder.
Look at the radios. Do you see how
I
many
know,
radios
we
we
have
have?
so many radios.
Why do we
They
have
just
that
kept
many?
appearing, and I don't know how they all fit on the same
Look, they're on
shelf,
sale
too.
for 3.6 credits, so I could get.
Layla,
Oh,
Layla,
fair enough.
I
For
sorted
36.
I sorted
Look at the
our,
radios.
I sorted it so our bottom shelf is just our radio shelf.
200 radios we have.
We have like 8 million radios.
I think they're
I also-
glitching and just multiplying.
I also
Oh,
sorted all of our.
Great
all
ass,
of
let's
our
go. Look at that.
shit.
It was gorgeous.
Nearly 100 over quota.
Guys, who wants to do a gift box opening with me? We got 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, gift box opening.
All right. Whoever has the 3rd one. Wait.
Oh wait, I grabbed both of them.
Sending us to the company.
Put one down so we can all open up one together. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, open. God damn!
Oh, this goes. Shit,
These
no,
are
that
good.
goes in here. Put it on the noisemaker shelf, please.
We're about to go sell shit. What do you mean?
No, we're gonna go sell
Put
it.
it on the noisemaker shelf.
No, we're selling it.
Put it on the noisemaker shelf.
Oh, Nat, tell your friend that I sent them the invite. They just gotta accept it at this point.
Tyler, you were sent the invite apparently.
We have to keep one of the clown machines, otherwise Layla's gonna lose her shit.
Hey, I know. I'm putting them up here so they're out of the way. We could sell. Let's keep the shovels, but sell the stop signs.
All right, 94
Why?
fucking pounds.
Because stop signs are loot, shovels are
What's a
gone.
dustpan?
Oh,
Well,
okay.
Watch out.
Good
Peaceful.
morning.
please do not. No, don't take the penalty. We have too much money on the line right now.
I know.
Once it starts grumbling, you just need to wait.
We might as well get shit brought up.
Yeah.
God, we really do have a lot of fucking walkies.
You're gonna die. I know.
Be funny though.
No, it won't. Boom.
There we go.
Risky 3.
What?
Take this stuff anyway.
Nobody died.
Somebody died.
It just raged for no reason.
No, I raged because I was going final warning. It doesn't really like noise. It doesn't like a lot of noise.
Do we? Don't die with things in your inventory.
Not that.
Don't die at all. That's a lot of money to lose.
I know. Needs
Ring a
to
ding
take it
ding,
first.
bitch.
This guy.
Because
Meanwhile,
I ran out of creative hentai joke insults.
Clearly, you need to study more material.
Yeah.
Why is this grandpa shopkeeper? He doesn't even want stuff.
Oh my god. Take
Bro.
this.
There we go. God.
Oh my god, finally.
Load him up. Load him up.
How did people can get killed by him?
Bam him.
We're fully
I
good.
think we're
Bam
full.
his ass.
Wait.
Okay.
Yeah, we're full.
Everybody stand back.
What does that 100% mean? I don't
Take
think it
the
opened.
temperamental
Oh,
step back.
100% means it'll buy our stuff for 100%
Oh.
of its value. So on other days, say if we tried to sell things yesterday, it would only bought for like 77% of its value.
Okay.
So
Me.
that's why you always sell on the last day.
There.
Open.
I feel like we're being too lucky right now with how good we're doing.
Say that.
It all changed
No
too.
commitment.
Is that everything?
Do we have everything?
So,
Ma'am?
Oh, we're rocking so much. We gotta hope and pray that those pajamas come in. We have so much.
yeah, we.
Holy.
Oh my.
Look at that fucking
Dear
quota.
Lord.
And it's not even
Be
done.
careful. Quota is about to reach at 1,000.
Layla.
We're in our thing.
Layla.
Yeah.
You wanna try sending the invite again?
Yeah, I haven't been able to send it yet because it's just sitting there saying invite friends, but it's grayed out, so when
Oh,
let me select. One second here. let me-
1,194.
Is that what it's
Maybe,
Thanks
yeah.
for making
Oh
quota.
my gosh.
Here,
Alright.
hold up. I'm gonna toss these outside. I don't want the manual. I don't want the.
Glitter,
Sell
yeah.
them. Can you sell the manual?
Speed.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe.
Nice. We
I
did
wanna see
it.
Let's
if you can sell
wait.
the manual.
Okay.
Yeah, well, let's get it. The store's useless right now. There's nothing good in the store. Oh, someone left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get in the air.
You could sell
Wait, is
them.
everyone in?
See if
Not
you-
everyone was
We're
in.
missing someone. We're missing someone.
Get in here.
Get on, get on.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Y'all almost
Alright.
left me behind.
They better put the pajamas or suits in the shop.
Right?
We
That's what
need
I'm
the
saying.
pajama suits now.
Guys, you know you can sell the manual and the post-it note?
Can?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, it's still not letting me invite, so I'm gonna close this real quick and then invite everybody.
Okay.
Hold up.
Okay.
It just
Sounds
created
good.
a
wait,
save.
check.
There's no
check
fucking
the
pajama suit. This is such bullshit.
Wait,
Damn it.
just wait. Okay, I'm closing it.
It's very
Go.
refreshing. Refreshing.
Waiting for an old game in the back. Banging mini music though, I will say that. Part of the ship, part of the crew. Here we go. I'm here.
Okay, congrats, you're the first one.
I should be able to actually invite it myself.
Hmm?
See, I should be able to invite him myself. I did one to him.
Yeah, I sent him an invite. I sent everybody invites. Let me just send
first one, nerd.
extras.
Technically, Layla's the first one, but nonetheless, so. I'm mad there's no fucking pajamas. We have so much money.
I know, right?
Hey, there's Tyler. There's my buddy.
There.
There we
They
go.
got like 5 invites
Okay.
in a row.
Sorry, it's.
There we
Steam
go.
keeps spamming it when I try and.
The 6
Hello.
gamers.
Cool,
gamers.
everyone's in. Awesome.
This is me waving.
Just
I can't
fucking-
wave.
Oh, it ruined our fucking thing.
I might shut down my background music.
Our wonderful.
not my organization. Wait,
The
where do
background music
I think they're all
might
stacked into
this
one
game,
big
so
stack there.
I paused that.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
guys.
no.
Okay,
Let's check this
our
out.
choices. Wait,
Where is it?
Why is my flashlight on the floor?
I don't know. The
Okay.
loading up was weird.
okay, here, let me read the moons that we have, that are not, like,
Nice one.
dead right now. Assurance, March, Rend, Dine, or Titan. So the three
Oh my God.
expensive
Who the
ones.
fuck's moving the goddamn?
Oh no, why are these
Look
all
at the
floating?
radio.
Oh my god! No, that's where all of our stuff went.
Also, I just love how there's two people that show up as name unknown for me.
That's what?
Who's on?
Actually, there's 3 unknowns.
Hold on.
Right, because you're not
wait,
friends with them on
somebody-
Steam, is my
someone
guess.
say it. Who moved the fucking-
Yeah,
Oh
it
yeah,
has to
that's
be.
No.
yeah.
It's because
can still see it with
Layla,
my
if you look at
friends.
the wonderful ground over here, you will understand why we moved that.
Yep.
Let's just
Yeah, where's the other
store this
unknown?
for now.
Who's the? No, oh, it's
Look at
it's-
this. Look at this beauty.
Did anyone
Look how
have
many-
a preference?
Hello.
That's my friend.
Look how many floating radios we have.
Bonjour.
Okay, real quick before we choose a moon and land, I'm gonna go take my dog out. It might be a few minutes, so
It's fun. We'll dance.
occupy yourselves. Occupy yourselves. I'm muting up.
You know what? Here, I just let occupy ourselves.
There we go.
Guys, I got something to entertain us.
And Cody.
My chat probably could hear that twice because it's playing through in game, but also. Oh, yep, you're right. I did not switch. Thank you, Soul. I did not switch my screen.
Oh my god.
I completely forgot to switch to main game.
Get out of here,
Malcolm is
dork!
playing along.
Get out of here, dork!
Yeah, shame this person. I don't know who they are, but shame on them.
He's playing the music.
Hello.
Hello.
Nothing wrong with jazz, Soul. Nothing wrong.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Would now be a... I kind of gotta go probably soon, but like, would now be a good time to do that?
You gotta go.
Alright.
Honestly, I'm probably going to sleep soon as well. Just because I'm tired.
Well, I'm going on a walk.
Yeah, the game's.
I know, I'm not. I'm just gonna sleep soon, but maybe not.
Alright.
yet.
Well, then I'm gonna head out. Good luck continuing being rich as hell.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Thank ya. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll last a very long time.
Here's helping.
Keep me
holy hell,
updated.
you're not
Let
kidding
me
about
know
that.
how long you succeed. See ya.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
You know what?
Can't even use a spray paint.
What? No, what did you?
Oh my god.
Okay,
what
I live-
are you buying? We bought a
This place makes me feel
doormat
more
and
like home.
this.
Actually, I think I am gonna head out.
$1,800. You could not miss 40 on a.
What'd you say?
Well,
What'd you say, Malcolm?
I'm gonna head out.
Okay.
Oh man.
I am.
Okay.
We lost Jelly as well.
I gotta
So
go take care of some things. So
Oh, Jelly
I will
left?
see you
Yep.
guys soon.
but still, we still got 4.
Yeah.
Good.
No worries. Good night, y'all.
Alright.
Alright, and then there was 4.
Can't believe you guys got all that stuff and not this.
What did you get?
It should be
Where is it?
up. Huh.
Ish.
No, Fisher's been there for a little while.
Ish. That is Steve.
Oh, there they are.
What's that?
Oh, the moonlights.
Aw.
Pussy life.
Where do you?
Okay. What planet do you guys want? We
I'm
can
ready
go
for
to
anything.
Assurance, March, Rend, Nine, or Titan.
All I know is what we got to do is we're gonna have to make a lot of money within 3 days because we have
Yes. There's
$711.
4 of us. How about March? Is that possible?
Do we want to try one of the 3 expensive ones?
Do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
We got this. 100%.
Okay, someone
No
pick a
doubts
number
at
between
all.
1 and 3.
2.
3.
Oh, Tyler. Okay.
This is gonna be fun.
Alright.
God, I can't grab what I actually fucking need to right now.
It's winter. I've never been here before. Oh, I
This
can
is
see
a
it.
spooky planet.
Okay, I think we're all going in, or are we doing a radio?
I'll take
Oh, we
comms
got
because I think it's probably pretty important.
Okay, I got
Tyler, go.
Okay, see you.
Got a shovel. I got
I
a
don't
Tyler's
know.
just running for it. Okay.
Here, follow me.
I got radio. and
Cool.
stuff.
Sounds good. Okay, Tyler's got 2 pieces of scrap. See if he grabs both. There is like a landmine right in front of you, so just be careful of that. Right behind in the corner, there seems to be a piece of scrap. Yeah, Layla's facing it. They got it. Right in front of you through that door, right in the kind of corner-ish, there's a piece of scrap. You got it. There's a shit ton on Tyler, but there's also enemies near Tyler. Run, run, get out of there. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There's a bunch of enemies near Tyler, and something else is coming up on him.
There's a bracken.
There's hella stuff in the main area right now. Let him know, please. He doesn't have walkie. There's like hella shit in there.
We can try to make it, but there's a bracken right there.
I think I counted roughly 4 or 5 enemies in that area. Alright, I got your cams. I'd say maybe try to stick together just so you guys don't, you know, split up and die. Coming across towards you right now. What is it?
Bug, we're good though.
Cool. Follow Tyler into that room. There's hella loot. There's something in the kitchen. Whatever room right next to you, there's something in that room over there. 2 scrap in front of you.
I hate this fucking robot.
was wondering what that fucking sound was. That scared the shit out of me.
In I go.
Have fun.
Wait, hold on, wait.
Two things right in front of you. Loot bug just stole something.
Yeah, Tyler's dead.
Teleporting back.
I think you stand on a landmine. I walked in there and it was fire. Did Layla leave yet to go here?
Yep, they're back on your way.
Alright.
Yeah, they're heading towards you right now. They run through the lamps. I'd say maybe try to get that loot back here. Yeah, I heard it was a landmine. Fortunately, not much I can do about that. I can deactivate it temporarily, but not for a lot of time. There's a loot bug in the corner and something else on the stairs.
That was not a loot bug, that was a shotgun.
Full story's better. Oh boy. Well, to be fair, there was a loot bug too. Thank you very much.
But I'll point out, I'm not even gonna consider myself an adult until I hit 27.
I'm gonna be real. I'm not gonna consider myself an adult until I hit like 40 or 35. I'm mentally a teenage girlfriend. Well,
Look back.
that was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was rough.
There was a nutcracker at the entrance, so we decided not to go
Nutcracker, a
anymore.
loot bug, I think a second loot bug. I saw a bunch of stuff when I went in. I'm like, no. And
Yeah. Get out of here.
We killed one of the loot bugs.
there.
Yeah, we did enough.
You want to put that storage locker back down? Because I don't know how to access the inventory of
Oh
stuff.
yeah, hold on.
296 is not bad.
No, not bad at all, actually.
We just need to be careful and not have everyone die. Nice. Well, yeah.
Welcome back,
Welcome
Tyler.
back.
Had I been
Play
more
now.
conscious about it and had Soul known how, we should have. Because that was so fucking funny.
I literally
Die.
entered, saw the
Oh, sorry. I
fire,
didn't realize you were
like,
moving it. I just wanted to get all this
oh.
stuff out of the way first.
That's okay.
No, so I did die by the mine, but it's not the reason why I got triggered.
Oh no, the loot bug?
I was walking towards the main room, and as I was walking out, there's that doorway there, where I almost kissed the bracket. So I was like, holy shit, I fucking sprinted out, jumped off the guardrail, and landed onto the mine.
Oh my god. Nice.
Okay, I'm taking us to
I don't know
experimentation.
what dogs do that.
Perfect.
Never played this
Yeah,
game
that was a
before.
mistake going there. Not really. I mean, we still made pretty profits on
We
it.
did well. We're doing good. Don't fault it. Do not
Those
fault
planets
it.
not because they're hard, because you
Wait,
can't.
why'd you leave the planet?
Make sure you're charged.
Why'd you
You're
leave the
charged.
paid planet?
It's fine. We have plenty of money
I
anyways.
hate it there.
Okay, so. Yeah.
No, I absolutely saw a loot bug and murdered the shit out of him.
Grab one of the walkies here. Someone stay on walkies. Can you team kill? Yes, you can. You very much can. Someone on walkies?
Yeah.
Cool, just want to make sure. I'm not seeing anything near you, Hills. No, so I'm not gonna kill him. Nothing beyond that door. Don't worry about it. You're clear. You're meeting up with Layla. If you go across that bridge, there's hella loot in there. Not that bridge, the other bridge.
No clue where she is.
It's all good. I got your back. I don't see anything in that room, but if you go upstairs, I can maybe see something. But if you go through the other room, they're right across that way. Yeah, that's the area. They might have already grabbed everything though. Yeah, looks like it. Oh wait, can you go down that stairs? Those stairs? Yeah, loot right in front of you. Oh no, keep going. Is that just an empty wall, or is that an actual area?
Doing right now. Do you copy?
Yeah, what's going on?
Is anyone dead?
Everyone appears to be alive. Good. You guys are clear for the time being?
I didn't know it could be on this fucking planet.
There is loot, either I think like right in front of you, or if you go up the stairs, then there's loot right upstairs. Yep, just up the stairs there.
Is the Jack in the Box gone?
Was there a Jack in the Box? Where's my unlock? Oh, something right for Tyler. Oh no! Oh, got you! Oh my god!
Yay!
I
I lived.
haven't seen her in a bit.
My flashlight shovel somewhere in there.
It's fine. You got your dead
There's
guy
a
right
stink
there.
bug and a little head crab boy.
Yeah,
Is this thing? Oh, never mind.
yeah, I can see your little head crab boy there. That's why he's dead there, sitting on there, because the teleport kills him.
I don't see his corpse here.
Oh, there's a corpse on my screen.
Oh.
You're not on walkie, so I can't yell at you saying that there was an enemy in that room.
Yeah, nope. I like to go in with shovel and light, so grabbing a walkie means I can basically hold no items.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of heavy stuff I need help with.
Okay.
Like 2-hand stuff.
How did these lights turn on? It's so weird. Weird visual bug. Oh. You okay?
I really am so confused. What happened with the Jack in the Box? Because no one saw the Jack in the Box.
Layla apparently saw it.
Stopped. Oh, Layla did?
Yeah,
Oh.
apparently.
I wonder where it went because it just stopped. Oh, there's an enemy near her.
That's a good sign.
Of course it is.
Uh oh, that was the bug.
There's one thing left at the door. I'm gonna go get it.
Yeah, go for it. Okay. Really, Tyler? I have a. I think that was my red. Don't worry about losing the shovel and the flashlight. We got lots, so.
Yeah. Actually, I'm here still.
And someone warned Layla it's about to be 7. Oh wait, no, she doesn't have a radio, does she?
I don't.
Okay.
I like the entry for the Spore Lizard. Entry level? I don't know, 5%.
Alright, this wasn't bad. We survived a Jack in the Box and
Yeah, we got pretty good loot too.
Did you teleport during the maggot thing, the head thing?
Yeah, I teleported
Yeah, I got
Tyler
saved.
during it, so.
Nice. That's good.
Fucking bug stole it last.
Oh, we are definitely. Oh. How much stuff? Do we have anything in the closet?
We got
Yeah, we do.
541 is what I'm seeing.
221, 227 is up here, and 540. Yeah, I think we have almost enough to meet quota. We still have one more day, so.
Yeah. So let's at least try to be safe and bring the first stuff we find.
Yep. We good? We good, Dip?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure to
Go.
charge your stuff.
I got nothing to charge, though.
Oh shit, we left the gear.
This is why you have a comms person. Hey!
Wasn't me.
A cog.
Tyler, next time there's a bug on your face, I won't save your ass. You're welcome.
Most profitable, that's damn right.
Nice. 411.
How the-
Nice.
How the heck did we get 411 out of 312?
That's
are the
leader rank, let's
best.
go.
You're the leader. It says
Experimentation
it
and Val are the ones that are untouched currently.
The leader.
Do we want to stay on
Look, look, look,
experimentation?
Let's go experimentation.
Leader.
Yippee.
L-E-A-D-E.
Oh, no.
Oh, there we go. I can spell employee. Employee.
Never seen a seat with that.
Alrighty.
So, come on,
the
man.
Tastes just jump. It's so.
I always do that.
Don't worry about
Here?
that. Don't worry about that. I think it's just a visual bug because it's like the one that's already on our actual thing, but it's like it's just visual.
Radio on, enter.
All right, Hills. In the words of Soldier 76, I've got you in my sight. Straightforward, scrap, and also off to the left, scrap.
Is it turret?
Is that? Oh yeah, I think it's a turret down below. Overwatch reference. Overwatch used to be an alright game. I still play it on very rare
I
occasions.
think it's a landmine.
I cannot tell. My layer doesn't show. My layer doesn't show much. You're right. Yep. Yep. You got it. There is a turret down there as well as an enemy just spawned.
Possible bracken, I heard loud.
Can't believe this game community released in Overwatch 1.5. Yeah. Yeah, the enemy's straight forward in the middle, the straight forward room, so don't worry about that one. I think Layla's found the apparatus room. Okay, there is something in the room down below forward.
Fine. Can you turn off the turret for when I say go?
I cannot see the code for the turret currently. You gotta get a little lower. There is something by that turret. But yes, I can disable it.
Turn it off, please. Please turn it off. That was a head maggot. Deactivate the turret, deactivate the turret, deactivate the turret. Please, 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 please,
Okay.
please, 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 please.
God. God damn it, Tyler. Oh, you good?
Friend is dead. Please, deactivate the turret.
Got it, got it, got it, got it. There is something right in front of you. I think it might just be a loot bug, though.
Don't know what the head maggot was, so you're gonna have to tell me what's near it.
There was an enemy near you, so just be careful.
Do you know if Layla's alive, and also can you teleport the body of, Tyler?
Tyler is alive. I saved his ass from the maggot, and Layla's alive.
Okay, I'm gonna go back in there with the shovel.
Keep in mind, I did see it. Check your ceiling right in front of you. If there's an enemy, it says on the map.
I don't see anything.
Okay, well, there's a red dot on my screen, so just be careful.
Right in front of me, like directly in front of me?
That's what it's saying.
Oh, yep, that's a slime that's approaching me now.
Just bring back what you have. You're fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I think you saw. I kept hearing a landmine, but I could not see it. I think it was stuck in the wall.
It was a
like stuck somewhere.
It was a way brighter red though than what mine. Because mine's like a dark red. That was like a bright red. Like it looked like a leech. It looks like they
very slowly a slime was approaching me. I
did see
looked
that, though.
everywhere. I could not see a leech. It's odd. Well,
Weird.
I'm gonna go pick up more stuff.
Go for
I'll
it.
be back. I'll keep radio on.
What's the minimum amount of people that should play this game for it to be fun, in your opinion, of course? I mean, any number of friends can make it fun, the more the merrier, though, kind of thing. Because, like, I guarantee playing with, like, 6 full people, like, if we would have had everyone before everyone went to bed, would have been a fucking blast. But, like, 4 players is fun. 2 players being tired of just played together. Oh. Uh-oh. There's slime.
Lame.
Trying to let them know to the best of my ability. Which looks like it worked because they're running away from it. Sounds like 4 is the minimum. Not necessarily. Me and Tyler played and we had a lot of fun those two. 4 is the best, I'd say. 4, because it's literally meant for 4 people. I think 4 is by far your best, most rounded experience, but it's not necessarily necessary. That's it. I have 3 friends. I don't know, get good or something. Also, there is, you can just, like, matchmake as well for this game, so you don't have to have people to play it with necessarily.
Be careful, to let them know if that's gonna be 7 soon.
Yeah, they're already on their way back. So someone's already someone's already grabbing the other loot over there. Cool, man. You get in, yeah.
Sorry, I can hear cats screaming. They are doing something I can't tell. They're probably fighting.
Oh, little gremlins.
I was super confused because my map shows that there's an enemy in our
Have
ship.
a
Then I realized the
brush.
dead leech right there.
And
Oh my
flashlight.
god. Mercy, chill.
We
Did
good?
the green flashlight get left behind?
Probably. It's fine. We good?
I'm good.
I think we are very set.
Oh, we should be super set.
The dead body just levitating a little
What
bit.
a
There it
brilliant.
goes.
Here it goes. Bye. Bye, little guy.
Or at least we should be a little
Hasta
bit set.
luego.
Alright, put this away for the time being.
And then company?
Yep.
Most profitable. Hell yeah, that's what I love to see.
Cool.
They only call me the paranoid because I'm the killer out of the group.
No, the paranoid is apparently based on how much your camera moves.
Report to the company building immediately to sell your scrap metal and other goods. You have 0 days left to meet the profit quota. You can use the terminal to
Are you
move the
company?
autopilot
Yep,
to the company
we're going.
building.
Nice. Alright. Oh, please, no one die. Please. Please.
Promises. I'll try.
Should I open the gift?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Don't sell a base. It's like 12 base.
1, 2, 3.
Hell yeah.
Oh, nice. I think it's full. Here, step back. You're the lucky one.
I know what to do.
There we go. Make sure, don't forget what's in the closet.
Yeah, I think we already grabbed all that.
Yeah.
Okay, are you set?
Hey! You bugger off. I've saved your life twice. Stop whacking me. You don't need the extra 5 cents. Go away, Tyler.
Oh my god.
You can have this,
Yes.
buddy.
Sell it to
You
get
can't,
it.
yeah,
out
you
of
can't
here.
actually, I don't think.
We validate your
Stop trying to fucking murder me. Please and thank you.
Okay, I think we have everything sold, right?
Yeah, looks like it.
Wait. Don't leave.
Hey!
No.
Stop being a gremlin, Tyler.
I'm kind of homophobic.
I know, right?
Alright, nothing good in the shop. I'm gonna get us up in the air. We'll check the shop afterwards.
Okay, did we make? Oh my god, we did make it.
We easily made quota, yeah. By a cool 300.
Are we stoppable? Can they stop us?
Oh,
I don't
definitely. It's gonna happen.
think- Titan with Eclipse.
What's that quota look like? Yeesh. Doable though.
Okay, we're gonna be cutting it close.
Life is good.
Life is good. Life is good. Life is
Okay, do the
good.
dangerous one.
This is all I care about.
Tyler, come on, join the gang. Pajama suit. Pajama suit. Yeah. Yeah.
Someone take a screenie. This
is
is the
the
best day of my
luxury.
life.
Wait,
This is
wait.
the luxury we've always wanted.
Take a screenie. Someone.
I'll do a
Steve,
screenshot.
look.
Everyone
Look what
at
we
me.
did, Steve. I can
Everyone look
die.
at me. I'm taking a photo.
I'm standing next to Steve.
We can die happy
Matt, go
now.
next to... And now Tyler, go next to Owl. Go next to Owl. I'm taking a picture.
Group picture.
Now pose. Get a little bit closer to Owl. So you're like even. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1. And 3, 2, 1. Okay, good.
I don't understand. It's just an outfit, Tyler. You mean that? So you don't understand. It's the pajama outfit. It's a 900 fucking
The-
credit outfit.
The pajama
Guys, look
outfit.
at our new quota.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's super yum.
easy.
Super fun. 100%
At
easy.
least we got the pajama outfit for inevitable deaths.
We
this
will die in
round.
style.
Wait,
That doesn't carry over to the next game. No, it does not.
Okay.
Landed us back here. Wait, no, on March. Okay.
Let's keep going.
Oh my god.
What did you just do?
What the
What
fuck?
is that? Oh, that's a rainbow.
It's foggy.
Yeah, I don't know
Why
why.
is it
I don't know. How I went to a foggy, but you know, I got your back. Don't worry.
Where is everyone?
I think Tyler's already running. So
Straight? Or
semi, yeah.
wait, Owl, where are you?
I'm right. I'm in the ship. I'm right here.
Where? Oh, I can't even see you from that. Okay, I'm following you.
I can't either. It's foggy. It's March. I'm gonna fall right in the light.
Teleport Tyler, he's on the lake, I think. Please teleport him quickly.
Tyler's alive. He's just he's grabbing a drop.
Oh, did he? I feel like he fell in the lake.
Nope, he's alive. Okay.
Check. Is Layla alive?
Yep, Layla's already in. There are bees near you. Be careful. You go straight forward and around to the other side where there's a door there. There's scrap in the corner. Go through the door. Yep, that one right there. Right in the corner. It didn't. So you do know I have Tyler's chat open, right? I can see everything you say. I wouldn't leave the loot inside. I'd say drop it off outside, just in case the loot bugs. The most riveting gameplay on my channel. There's something there and I don't know what it is. Oh, that little girl. Still alive.
Hey, was there anything, like any other scrap where Tyler just came from?
I only saw the one thing and some kind of enemy, but I couldn't also see much more beyond what he was even shown, so. There doesn't appear to be anything around you.
I don't want to go near Tyler's area because there was a spider there, but that's the only way I can go.
Yeah, you'd have to kill that, and I don't know if we want to risk that or not.
I'm staying here. Actually, I'm gonna AFK real quick and go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna crouch
Okay,
right here.
I see that. I know the giants now. I'm gonna try to make a trek
So
back.
giants can't hear
I want
you,
to tell
so
me
you
if
can
there's
talk.
Oh, yeah.
a giant or anything near me.
They just can see if you're safe in the ship. Okay, muting up. I'll be right back.
Alright, I got my camera on you, so go. Just remember that they can't, you can talk all you want, they cannot see you. If they see you, that's when they'll kill you. Nothing near you currently. Oh, something else near me as well. I thought that moved a little faster. Might be the little hopping guys.
We might have fallen or something.
Oh,
I don't know what to do.
I can teleport you.
Trying to jump.
you want to teleport, you'll lose the loot, but it'll save your life.
Yes. Is the giant near us?
No, the other said you fell in the lake.
We're trying to jump out.
I don't know if there's any saving you out of that lake there. Oh. I'm gonna save your guys' life. I'm gonna teleport you out. You're gonna lose the loot though. Is that fine?
I mean, yeah, it's our only choice. Is Layla gone?
They're king.
Where you are. Oh, that's sad. I think he fell in the lake. I couldn't tell, but it was really, really. Who just had a
Oh my,
giant
what
one?
the? What in the world? What?
Oh, you live.
teleporting cheater. That hurt, you know. Where'd you
Oh,
go?
the
There
toilet.
you are. Why are you so fast? Yeah, I know. I stole the bottles from a spider. He teleported onto my
Spider
face
thing?
and it hurt.
Well, you're alive, so
It's
I
a
got
great
you.
game. It can be.
So we just
But that was
lost like a lot of stuff.
Especially when you got a spider just
We lost everything,
absolutely
basically,
dunked
because
on
both
me
of us
with
fell in
this
the lake.
skittery. It was moving at Mach 5.
Ugh.
I'm sorry. What was that? Wanna run that by me again? Giant? No shot.
You're a
No
wow.
shot.
You just want to get in the
Does
air.
zap gun even affect giants?
On.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially with giants on
I think the
foggy.
giant
It's
was
so
gonna be able to
shitty
like
when it's
see us
foggy.
down
The
there.
bees are we're fine.
Alright, I think we should
Did you
just
go to the back
go.
of this pumpkin? Will be good. This is gonna
Yeah, it's 9 p.m.
Oh,
Let's
I
go.
hear
Let's
one.
go.
Tyler?
Just not. Am I falling down to the lake? I don't know.
Tyler's
Wait,
like comms are like, super
oh, no,
delayed.
hold on,
I
hold
can't
on.
hear him
Might
right now
be- we'll go back
properly.
up.
Tyler's comms are like super delayed.
We're
You
not
good?
dead yet, so just spam jump in the corner.
No, Tyler's
Spam jump
comms are like
into the
delayed. I'm
corner.
hearing him talk about spamming jump right now.
Was back jump the trick here?
Oh god.
I can't hear Tyler properly.
58.
Oh.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear
properly.
you.
I can't hear Tyler. Tyler, you sound
sounds close.
schizophrenic. Tyler, no.
Are we sure Nat
Yeah,
didn't
you're
get
scared.
her frontal lobe jump?
Oh my god.
I don't know. Is the thing. I feel like it has to be with how
Yeah?
steep this hill is. It
So
just.
just let y'all know, I probably
All
have
this alone
about
time in here?
till the end of this quota.
That's
Period.
fine. We're
After
probably
me.
gonna die here. Let's be realistic here. We had like no loot
Yeah.
come back.
I'll be real. Whoop.
Yeah.
Or we'll die.
Tyler's voices
I
are
think I'm
still
dead.
so delayed.
Oh, does this teleport come in time? Nope. Oh my.
It's
Oh,
not
who?
fucking
Did we not change planets?
Clip that. Soul, clip it.
Oh my god. I was
Soul,
like,
clip it.
pissed. I was like, we're dead.
Soul. Be the hero. Clip it.
B.
My head got crunched. I am the bite of 87. I am literally the bite of 87. The giant crunched my frontal lobe and I
Still can't hear you,
survived.
Tyler. You're talking about a fight of 87 right now.
Oh, he did. Yes. What? Wait, really? Hold on. Testing. Hello? No idea what I fucking clicked. I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, it's still catching up. Just get out of here. Go
Wait.
loot. Go loot. Let's go.
Uh-oh. Can anyone else hear me properly? Hello? Why is that fucked? What? So you're all fucked up, but you two are just fine. What is wrong with you?
All right, I got my cams on you. Don't worry.
There is steam. I'm gonna need your assistance in letting me know if there's something. I hear a landmine or a turret. Actually, no,
It's a landmine. It's around the corner. There's nothing that way, anyways. Don't worry. Don't bother with it. Landmine in the corner, though. Corner of the room in front of you. have no idea. It's like, it's super delayed. Yeah, there's a landmine in that corner. Please be careful. You're good. There's nothing in that room anyway, so don't worry about it. That's so weird. That's such a weird bug. How would that even happen? Like, why would it record that in that way? Hills, if you go down that hallway there and then take a left. No, not that one. The other one. Go down that way and then take a left up near the mine. There's some scrap up forwards. There is mines. I think there's mines. Oh no, there's doors. Yeah, scrap right there, and then there's a scrap to the right as well as another mine. You go forward a little bit more, and then to the right, there's another scrap right over there. You got it. That's such a weird thing. That's such a weird bug. That's not what you think of when it comes to bugs. You think of like a delayed sound is a weird ass thing to have run into. So, got that. Nothing over there. Yeah, keep going that way. I don't know, so if I think the clip he's talking about is me saving his life, I guess. Scrap right in front of you. You got it. That's not a good way to get that to him. He missed some scrap in there, unless that was the apparatus. I don't think it was. Neil, if you turn around, go straight that way. There's some scrap in that room right next to you. Oh, no, not that way. Sorry. Turn right there. Other way. There you go. Go forward. And then I think it's right, just like in the corner there, from the looks of it. I can't tell. Other corner. Based up on map showing. If not, it's right below. Turn around. Should be somewhere in that room with you. Look underneath there. It says you're right next to it, basically.
I thought it might be clipped in the wall.
It looks like it's like sitting in the middle there, so I don't really know for sure. But it says there's scrap in that room, so it might be. Yeah, you guys are like facing it right now. There you go. You got it. You guys are currently clear. There doesn't seem to be anything around you right now, both scrap and enemy-wise. Oh. Oh.
Completely dead.
I think so. I think they might have gotten sent to the back rooms or something. I don't see them moving anymore. I'm gonna give them a second here, but I'm pretty sure they're dead. Yeah. R.I.P.
I'm gonna start returning.
Go for it. I'm pretty sure we're probably screwed on this anyway, so don't worry about it. But bring back what you can. Oh, man. Two in there on it.
Alrighty.
Yeah, we're probably screwed, but you know.
I'm gonna go get
Shot.
some more stuff.
Go for it.
I suggest telling Tyler to get out of there, or sending a signal because it's 7 now. That's great news. Okay, I'm just gonna keep talking on the radio. If I stop talking, please teleport me. Wait, no, I think I'll make it. I think I'll make it. I can see the ship, so as long as there's nothing near the ship, I should make it.
I don't see anything currently.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Keep cams.
Where's Tyler?
He's still out there.
Oh.
Keep cams on him.
Well, that's not good.
Oh, see him?
Giant spotted him. Teleport. Nice.
Ahem. It's my blood as a teleporter.
I don't know, man. At least you're no longer broken.
Layla's.
Oh, am I finally fixed for you?
Yeah.
Hey, at least this time I didn't get crunched.
Yeah.
You only picked me up and said hi.
Okay, so what happened with me? I teleported you? What happened then?
What, last time?
Yeah.
Oh, I got my frontal lobe bits off and you teleported me.
Oh, cool. So I've saved your life like 5 times today?
Huh?
I've saved your life like 5 times today? Oh, we're so fucked, guys. There's no way we're getting the billion fucking quota we need.
No, we have to like.
That's so
when we get these
depressing.
high quotas, we have to like go
I
to
had to
expensive
use like
plans.
or whatever.
So
it is.
well. And then I just
No.
recharge, so I flipped the jump.
Gone this long without dying, and it was because of that.
I honestly, giants are my least favorite enemy in this game. I just absolutely hate giants.
I died to gravity. That's my least favorite enemy.
Well, if someone wants to pick a moon, we have one chance to get
Do
like.
the most expensive one. We're gonna send it. I don't. No matter what,
okay.
we have to.
That's what,
Whatever
Titan,
it
right?
is. Make sure
We don't
to
have enough for
charge us,
Titan.
please.
We don't have enough
Okay,
for Titan.
Then
The
just go
only
like
one we have enough for is the stormy one.
Oh,
No,
lovely.
Okay, no. If we go one of the basic ones, they still have the amounts. It's just still tricky. So we gotta. We can do the easy ones. I mean, the cheap free ones. We just gotta be on top of our game.
Okay.
Vow assurance or
Lock
experimentation?
in.
Someone choose. Vow, assurance, or experimentation.
Experimentation. I know the exits on that one best.
Experimentation then. If we, it's better to know where the things are than to. Okay.
I don't want that stuff.
Team, I don't think we're making quota.
Oh, we're definitely not making quota.
Or Acid is not making
Come
quota.
on. You know what? I don't care what happens. I'm
I
doing
don't
the
even have a
best.
flashlight
Yeah,
left.
we don't.
It's
I don't
okay.
think we actually have enough to even get everything. Scan say 616.
Radio's on.
Copy that. Scan showing 10 items at 700, so there isn't, I think, actually have to get it anyways. But, you know, we can at least have one last hurrah and get you hella drugs.
Eight items left, I just got 2.
Layla just found another.
Anything in this room?
Not. Oh, yes, go through that door there. And then go around to the other side. Something in the corner. Room's empty. Do drugs? Yes. You go straight forward and then take like a right. There's some loot. No, no. Yep, go that way. And then take a right up at the next right. There you go. There's something in the corner there. Yep, you're facing it. You got it. Yes. Going, Tyler, keep going. Oh. Sorry, I wasn't keeping track of my battery. My battery died for a second there.
There is an apparatus. I can get it if everyone leaves.
Copy that. I'll do transmit. I pushed that a little bit, but don't mind that.
Okay, I'm gonna give them 5 seconds to get out. Tell me if they're mainly
Well,
out.
I'm gonna let them look around a little bit more there before you pull that.
Nothing straightforward besides the app.
There's 2 objects in that room in front of you. Looks like they're both on shelves. On the other shelves. One right there, in front of you on that shelf. And then one on that shelf over there in the corner. There's one on the other shelf still. It has been acquired. Alright, I think we're empty. So I think we're gonna do, I'm gonna send a transmit to say leave.
Okay, tell them to exit and then I'll pull app.
Copy that. I got eyes on you. Go for it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Go straight forward. You're all good. Hello.
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 Ready.
Who am I? It's very Tyler. I don't care what they say about us anyway. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. Yeah, we're so fucked.
We did pretty well on this. I did not see a single enemy. Did you guys see anything?
No, it was dead.
Me
It was dead. No
neither.
mines,
That
no
was a bee.
enemies, no
It was a
nothing.
bee. It was a bee planet too.
Bit
Well,
sus.
anyways, we're dead anyways, but you know, at least we can have some fun.
Wait. We might not be dead. Put everything together. Scan the planet. We're gonna sell the keys. We're gonna sell our equipment.
There's
We're gonna
nothing
sell
else left.
everything.
No, yeah, there's nothing else. We got everything.
So there's 356,
Okay.
96 that I'm scanning, 426 that I'm scanning right now. And that's not counting.
We're putting the keys.
No. That's not counting. We sold our gear.
I hit you one
We're
time.
selling.
We should not kill each other. No, we're not. We cannot kill each other.
We can sell each other, right?
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
we're
If the
there.
need gets to it.
For
How much
deal
is
more
$5
loss
a
per
pop.
person? Oh.
I don't know if those feels really enough. I don't think we have enough for everything.
Hold on. Let's make these sales first, and then like sell all our stuff, and then we'll worry.
Okay. Can we sell our radios and flashlights?
No.
That's what I'm saying.
They'll
Radios,
sell for
flashlights,
nothing.
Shovels, extension ladder. Still
Oh.
better than.
But nothing is still nothing.
Plus, it's not like we can keep them anyway. Most profitable. Ha! Still. Look at that though.
Pretty
Great
good.
ass. That's
That's
nice.
because we got everything.
Oh,
Buddy Holly
Yeah,
debated my
Joe.
existence.
we're dead as hell.
It's all right. Hey, you know, worst comes to worst, we could just buy hella inhalants and go out blazing.
See, I love how you
Exactly,
said
like last time.
app found, and both me and someone else were like, the fuck does that mean?
Apparatus.
Battery.
I have like 8 characters. What do you want from me?
Yeah, just
No, I
Just
don't
send it
mean
multiple
don't say.
messages and make it
Just
even more
literally,
annoying.
just say battery, not battery found, just battery.
the companies are grumbling.
Sell everything.
Wait, is the shovel? I said sell the shovel last
Hold on,
time?
it's full.
Yeah, just don't put the shovel up yet.
Hold up.
Shovel may be necessary. We can sell everything else.
Tyler, what are you buying?
Don't worry about it.
Us.
Got it. Alright. Tried to kill me a couple times, hasn't worked. Frequently call you mean things. Come on, wait. Shut up.
Let him be.
Probably not.
Why did you buy something?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Tyler, you have to wait till after we get paid. We buy all that.
Guys, look.
A line? That's
Oh yeah, we're nowhere even fucking close.
Wait. Don't buy things and we might.
Well, the buying has nothing to do with that. It's a completely separate account.
Come on, buddy.
We've sold everything we can. Take the fucking product. I have no idea. 90 plus. All right.
Walkie.
The walkies don't sell for anything, Layla.
Anything?
Nothing.
Well, guys,
They're just cheap.
guys.
I'm buying stuff
I have a
to
message-
go out. It's
I have a
fun.
message for the company. Look outside for the message for the company.
Let's see.
So is it official?
Yeah, give me a sec. I'm buying stuff for us. It's on its way.
Okay. Yep. All right.
No.
We're gonna die.
We ain't reaching for it.
Wait, buy some more spray paint.
I'm going to.
We're gonna die. We're gonna
It's empty.
die.
Can I actually?
Screaming. Jeez.
All right, and then the last little bit. So I've got hella stuff on the way. With the last little bit, I want to try the tactic with the ladders where you try to block the exit.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, no, we're not meeting the cortisol.
Guys,
I can't see a thing.
Yeah. I want to try the tactic with the extension ladder where you try to block the exit. I want to try that with the extension ladders.
Oh man, I am seeing red.
I did buy drugs for everyone and the spray paint for everyone.
yay!
So let's see. Buy fucking 6 of them. Cool.
I got all the drugs.
Tyler, did you take all my drugs? I bought some for everybody.
Spam wall. I have drugs.
Tyler, did you take all the drugs? Or are those not arrived yet?
You did the same idea as me.
Oh man, I cannot see a thing. God take me.
Get the ladders.
Why is this so hard?
Oh. How can I get my voice to?
I think Tyler took all our fucking drugs and I'm mad.
I'm just gonna keep pressing it.
Oh god, no, you gotta hold it. You gotta hold it.
Oh yeah.
We did take all the fucking drugs. What a dickhead.
We did. I have an extra.
Damn
I
it.
have an
Did you take
extra
fucking...
one.
I found one.
Oh god, it's good. Really
Hell yeah,
good.
guys.
Oh my God.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
My voice higher?
You can only tell what other people do. I get their own voice higher.
I'm tripping.
Oh man.
Hey, wait, hold up. We have extension ladders to get up there. Hold up. Fuck off.
Alvin and the Chipmunks is killing you.
Also, we have a body here to sell. Might as well get the $5.
True.
$5 is $5. There we go. And boom. All right,
can't see what it says.
let's get all these ladders on board.
I can't see what does it say? I can't read.
This is free, yes, mine says at least. Great circle. Oh. Why that's just okay. Well, half pentagram will work.
So high, I'm gonna fall off.
I don't think you can show this on Twitch.
All right. Ladder. 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 We're gonna block this company from rejecting us. They will not take us.
Does anyone have any more spray paint?
No, I think we're clean out. Is he not taking the fucking body yet? You asshole.
Do you have any more spray paint? I'll give you guys stress.
Still can't believe this woman sat in the shitball stream.
I spray paint.
Yeah, I mean,
I just
it's
need
true,
one.
but you know, I like made, you know, I saved your life like 6 times, Tyler,
It's still bad.
and did
It was
Overwatch
hard.
for everyone. Someone's gotta.
This is art.
Yes, that's. I just didn't get
If
the
I
final
want to die,
lesson.
well, that's not gonna happen. Fuck. yeah, absolutely.
I just need one more S. I don't think you can show
Here,
that on
here,
Twitch.
here.
It's fine.
I gotta.
Just looking for a Master Soul session. Of course you were.
There's a little bit left, I think.
All right, load up on ladders.
I will.
Hey.
Yeah! Welcome.
Company. The company
How's
will
it
be
feel to be
satisfied.
killed, not to go on your own terms?
The company will not kill us.
You there?
I'm here.
Okay. You're being awfully quiet.
Don't worry about it. Get the ladders prepped and ready.
Oh, it's empty.
You ready?
Yeah, this entire session I was
Okay.
really trying to hope to find a mask, and I could not find a single one, and I was upset.
Put them on the toilet.
I was upset I couldn't find a mask.
Thanks.
Get it on down there.
Well,
Alrighty, you
It's
ready?
Pull the
I
lever.
still got some pretty
Alright,
good
we're gonna have to
troll
put all the
moments in
ladders
this
when you're ready.
set. Remember that mysterious jack-in-the-box no one saw?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna start the ship.
It's because it never was there.
Tyler, come on, man.
Okay.
You guys do it. You don't need to set them up yet. They're gonna crush themselves.
There we go.
You guys do realize we respawn first, right?
I don't care.
Wait, we gotta make sure these are go in line because we only have a short amount of time of them being up. Okay, you ready?
Put them down, what are you doing? They will not take us. The company will not take us. Yeah! They won't take us! The company will not take us.
Well,
The company cannot have us. Actually, I think they got
Okay,
somebody.
oh,
It sucked.
They got somebody, didn't they?
It sucked.
It looked like I got...
yeah, someone fell out.
Oh, man.
Welcome to your first day.
Alright, that's where I'm gonna call it
This is
quits.
your very own autopilot
Well,
ship.
good night,
where you
everybody.
dispense
Yeah, we'll have to get, like-
My room tonight anyways. I stayed up later than I used to do.
Yeah, we'll have to get a bunch of mods installed so we have costumes and shit like that.
Make yourself at home. To
Well,
complete
adios,
the
I'm closing
onboarding
it.
Bye, guys.
process, you
Adios,
will want to
everybody.
check the
Bye.
instruction manual.
Alright, have a good night, everyone. Thank you.